Carlin Borsenko's my girl.
Hey guys, what up? Remember, I'm never late. You're just early. And we already did a stream earlier anyway, and now we're back for round 2 because it is apparently What the Fuck Wednesday. And that means that although Allison, I feel so bad. I really and truly did have the intention of going back to socialism today. I was ready. I was ready to go. I have all these videos picked out. But you can't, like, when stuff happens, you got to roll with the punches. And I wasn't anticipating waking up this morning and finding out that not only was Alex Jones debating Rabbi Shmuley, which was not quite at the level of Kanye West being on InfoWars, that I don't know that is a bar that we will ever achieve again. But it was pretty good because we heard a lot about kosher butt plugs today. And if you didn't watch it, you can go back and see it. And then, apparently, in the land of Steven Crowder, there is more drama that's come out in terms of Not Gay Jared releasing a video in which he alleges that he was abused, and Steven's producer has responded, and the wife's involved, and Candace Owens is involved, and Just Pearly Things is involved, and everyone is involved. Because it can't be internet drama without every single person on the internet being involved. And so sadly, we're going to have to take another break from socialism today. I promise, unless something major happens, unless another bridge falls down, or someone stabs Candace Owens in the eye, or aliens reveal themselves, we're going back to socialism tomorrow. We've been screwing around for 3 days this week. Sometimes it's okay. But eventually we need to, refocus on what we're doing. And so we'll do that tomorrow. But we got to talk about this Steven Crowder stuff. We have to. Because this is the only way I'm going to learn about it, is if I have to talk about it to you guys. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're just going to do a good old episode of Nitwits. We're going to watch some videos. We're going to talk about some stuff. Please, guys, do me a favor and mount the like button for me. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to actually maybe recommend my content. If you are watching on Rumble, please mount the like button over there as well. If you're watching on X, please heart it. Give it a retweet. Actually, I'm getting a really good amount of viewers on X lately, and so I want to say welcome to everyone who's watching on X. Just so you guys know, I can actually see your chat. So if you're, I know that the X chat is usually a little bit more quiet, but I can actually see them. I can display your chats on the screen. So if you're watching over there and you want to chat in, you might not be able to see all the YouTube audience, but I can display your stuff on screen if you say something exceptionally smart or exceptionally funny. I guess let's just dig right into it. I don't really have a lot of preamble to go through, and I'm going to be interested to see what you guys have to say. But I want to take you back to last year, because I covered the Steven Crowder drama last year as well. And maybe someone, like, if I have my recollection wrong, someone let me know. But my recollection was that last year there was a big scandal in terms of camera evidence being released that was alleged to have shown Steven Crowder kind of emotionally abusing his wife at the time, Hilary. And the footage looked really bad, but the footage also looked like it had been edited. And what it seemed like to me at the time, and I think my assessment about it at the time was, I thought that Candace Owens had gotten in touch with Hilary Crowder and she had found out through the grapevine of gossip in the political sphere that Stephen and Hilary were getting a divorce, and Candace Owens this was my theory. I don't know any of this for sure. This is all speculation. It's all rumor. It's just gossip. I'm not saying anything for sure. I could absolutely be wrong. But I thought at the time that Candace Owens had gotten in touch with Hilary Crowder, and the two of them had spun up this plan to release this footage on Steven Crowder to massively publicly embarrass and smear him as revenge for what Steven Crowder did when he leaked the audio recording of the contract negotiations, the call with Jeremy Boring. And then subsequently, Candace Owens went on Tim Pool's show, and God, did she look evil when she was on that show. And so that whole thing with Steven Crowder leaking the audio information was, I thought Steven came out on top in that discussion. I thought it made the Daily Wire look bad, and I think it made Candace Owens specifically look bad. And Candace Owens is a narcissist. And so when you make a and you guys, and listen, you guys might like what is going on with Candace Owens right now in terms of her saying Christ is king. You guys might want to be, covering for her or like lifting her up after she got fired from the Daily Wire. And by the way, I'm going to say this. I do believe that Candace was unjustly fired from the Daily Wire, and I congratulate her and give her a virtual high five on sticking to her guns and not bending the knee. I think all that is great. But that does not change the fact that Candace is a narcissist who is not to be trusted. And just keep that in mind, Groypers. You can like someone's behavior like on one or two occasions. That doesn't mean you marry the girl, okay? It does just because the girl looks pretty and the girl says nice things to you and the girl whispers those sweet nothings in your ear and maybe she gives you a kiss on the neck, that you can like all those things, and that's fine. It's fine. But that doesn't mean you marry the girl. Okay? You've got to look at the bigger picture. Because maybe the girl that's being really nice to you and saying the things you want to hear right now, maybe that girl is actually crazy. And when you look at the bigger picture and you talk to other boys that she's dated, you're going to find out that it always starts out, it's all fun and games when you're in the golden period with a narcissist, and then they let their inner monster out. I'm just saying. So Candace Owens is a narcissist. And when a narcissist gets embarrassed, like Candace Owens was in the whole contract negotiation debacle on Tim Pool, they get pissed and they want revenge. And the smear campaign is a core component of revenge of the narcissist. And so when all this came out and Candace Owens was obviously working with Hilary Crowder in order to release that footage, my instinct on this, and I still think this instinct is holding today based on what I've seen so far, my instinct was to be on Steven Crowder's side. I think Hilary Crowder lied. I think she concocted a plan with Candace Owens to get revenge on Steven. I'm not suggesting that Steven Crowder is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I do not believe that Steven Crowder is perfect. He is a flawed person. Hilary Crowder is also a flawed person. Candace Owens is a deeply fucking flawed person. Okay? But to me, what it had looked like is that camera footage was edited out of a larger context to be presented in the way that would make Steven Crowder look irredeemable to the public. But the problem is, and I can say this because I've been married for almost 13 years now, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. Somewhere around there. Is that a 3-minute clip out of something that could have been a 2-hour-long argument? That leaves a lot of what ifs. What did Hilary Crowder say leading up to that 3-minute clip? What was edited out of that 3-minute clip? What did Hilary Crowder do after that clip? And by the way, I'm not suggesting that Steven's behavior was perfect either. We also don't know what Steven did leading up to that clip. We don't know what happened. But what I will say is this. Oftentimes when it looks like men are losing their shit, it's because they have been pushed to lose their shit by a woman that they love. And again, I'm not like, it takes two to tango. When a relationship is deteriorating, both parties are somewhat responsible. But I've seen it happen an awful lot that a man gets in trouble for saying or doing something that if you just look at the act of what they did, it seems extreme. But you aren't looking at the fact that his wife hit him over the head with a fucking frying pan 5 minutes before that. Or something like that. Or she announces all of a sudden that she had been cheating with someone else and that maybe the baby like women do fucked up shit like that like all the time. And then they play the innocent victim when the man kind of like loses it. And again, everyone's responsible for their own behaviors. But what I saw on that edited camera footage was it looked like it was cut really specifically to make Hilary Crowder seem like she's just pregnant, guys. She's just pregnant and she's just, she's just trying to get by and all this stuff. And she never does anything to provoke Steven. And she is just perfect and obviously the innocent victim of his narcissistic abuse. And it's just all a little too convenient for me how all that was packaged. Now, that said, I could be very open to changing my mind based on what I see today. Sometimes you make a call based on the best information that you have at the time. And sometimes you get new information in that call that makes you look at things a little bit differently. I studied toxic workplaces and workplace bullying for like 10 years. I understand that topic very deeply. Maybe I'll be and I haven't looked at any of the stuff that we're going to watch today. I have no idea what any of it says, but like maybe I will be presented evidence in which I'm going to go, yeah, I was wrong about Steven and he is an asshole and Hilary was right all the time. Sorry. It's entirely possible. So we're gonna have to see. Let me get this this here super chat. Thank you, Fast Donnie. Steven Crowder kept Daily Wire's name out of his mouth about the term sheet until Jeremy Boring ratted on himself. I agree with you about that. I was on Steven's side about that. I thought it was great. Am I Boom? Well, Boom's usually right about that sort. Not Boom isn't right about everything all the time. Sometimes Boom and I have disagreements, but Boom and I usually do agree. So I guess, guys, where we're going to start, let me just take you through the chain of events, okay? And then we're going to just go one by one by one. And if there are other things that you guys want me to watch and react to, just let me know and we can put those on the list. Might as well make it a whole, Steven Crowder drama marathon. Let's see. Happy Turtle 1 says, Robert Barnes thinks Candace wanted out of her contract. She realized it was not good, and Crowder didn't sign up to the Daily Wire and is doing just fine. I don't think that's what happened with Candace. I think Candace actually legitimately got fired, and I don't think she was expecting to get fired. But that's my opinion. That is a different topic for a different day. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch Jared's video. Now, I've never been like a Steven Crowder fan, so I don't actually know any of these characters. I've watched Crowder on occasion, but I didn't care enough to memorize the entire clown car of people he had working for him. So I kind of know who this guy is, but I don't really know who this guy is. We're going to watch Jared's video first about how he's been abused. And if we look in the comments of this video, oh, look who's here. Candace Owens. Candace is there. Sydney Watson is there. Lauren Southern is there. Ashley St. Clair is there. Anomaly is there. I heard Ben Shapiro. Oh, there's Adam. Is Adam still around? Seriously? Is Adam still like just doing the same old thing that Adam's always been doing? I have no idea. I haven't even heard anything about Adam in like a long ass time. All these people coming out of the woodworks. And so we're going to watch this video first. Hilary Crowder is also on Twitter, so she's putting her ideas out there. We're going to look at the things that Candace posted under there. We're going to look at Candace's back and forth with just Pearly things, because Pearl is, of course, getting herself involved. We're going to look at Gerald's response video. And apparently Gerald really kind of like brought the receipts in this entire situation. So this is actually the one I'm looking forward to the most. Let's see, what else do we have? Big up to Cassandra McDonald for getting the exclusive on this. I think that's pretty great. We've got the exclusive from Timcast, or I guess Scanner. We've got that. Alex Jones seems to be on Steven Crowder's side. And I've got Jared's fundraiser pulled up here, and it looks like Jared has raised $76,000 for himself. And listen, man, I don't begrudge anyone doing anything, even if I don't come out on Jared's side on this one. Good for him. I mean, I don't know. Good for him. I guess we'll see. So let's just get started. Again, guys, please do make sure to mount the like button for me. If you don't want to mount the like button, you can slap the like button on the ass. You can give the like button a high five. You can put your arm around the like button. You can hold the like button's hand. You can do something platonic with the like button if you want. You can just, you and the like button can just be friends as well. Just no smashing. Okay? But just do something to that like button for me. I would really appreciate it. Per usual, there's a shocking disparity between the number of people who are watching right now and the number of people who have fornicated with the like button. So please get on that, okay? And let's just jump right into it. And I have to set up the sound for this video, and we're gonna see what Jared had to say. Let me get this super chat. Okay, I was looking for this stream for 10 minutes and YouTube wouldn't let me find. I keep telling you guys, I'm massively shadow banned on YouTube. The struggle is real. And so the very best thing you guys can do to help me break the algorithm, which I do manage to do every once in a while, then all of a sudden I get all these new viewers to my channel and they're like, Carlin, where have you been? And I'm like, I was always here, but I'm shadow banned to high heaven. I'm sorry, I don't control YouTube. I wish I did. It's been this way forever. So mount the like button for me, guys, please. Yes, the like button always consents. Don't worry about it. All right, let's see what Jared had to say.
They demanded that I turn over. Enough is enough. This can't go on any longer, and as the famous saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So here we go. I'm currently being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. This has been going on for a while now, and it simply cannot live in darkness for another day. But I am asking for your help to fight back. First, some context. In late October of 2023, to my surprise, I was served these papers. A cease and desist from my former employer. It threatened severe legal action in the form of a lawsuit and demanded I cease communications with my friends.
Steven Crowder's wife.
Of cease and desist are generally to
intimidate,
isolate, and eventually devastate. Like most cease and desist, it also demanded that I swiftly provide them written certificate of my compliance. I did not. In the same delivery, I was also served these papers, a Rule 202 petition from my former employer. You can look that up on the internet. I know I had to. These documents were filed with the county court of my former place of employment, demanding that I be subject to an oral deposition under oath.
Hang on. As I already explained when I started this stream, I do not agree with that. That footage was edited, so we don't know what was cut out. We don't know what happened leading up to that footage. We don't know what happened after that footage. And I've seen enough instances of couples getting in fights that last for hours, in which the woman is extremely emotionally abusive of the man, and then the man can't take it anymore because he's been pushed for several hours in the goddamn fight, and he goes off and he says some things he didn't mean, and then the woman takes that and cuts it out of context to make the man look like he was the perpetrator in the entire situation, when she's been haranguing his ass for 2 goddamn hours and maybe even threw stuff at him or hit him with something, and he's been restraining it for hours, but you can only push someone so far. We don't know what happened leading up to that footage. We don't know. And the fact that it was released in the first place, and the fact that it was edited like it was, and the fact that it was very, very clear to me that Candace Owens had involved herself in that, which makes me believe that it was all a setup to defame Steven Crowder to make him look bad to everyone. I'm on Crowder's side until someone can prove to me that he is actually, I know how it looks. I know he looks aggressive. I know he looks like the typical kind of like Gaston character, but I don't trust women in a divorce. I'm sorry. I just don't.
for an unlimited amount of time where they were free to interrogate me on pretty much any private matter that they chose. Also, in this petition for discovery, they demanded that I turn over documents of all communications with more than a dozen of my friends and unlimited amounts of unnamed persons in any form and over an unlimited period of time. I did not. Now, I did not for a few reasons. Number one, I have seen how this employer handles legal issues, and I knew that once I opened the door to legal abuse, it would never ever be shut. This is how they operate. In fact, I'm not the only one who's a current victim. My former employer is exploiting the legal system to abuse others right now, all in the darkness, fully knowing that the fear and risks it takes to speak up. This kind of harassment at the hands of the powerful isn't just designed to financially ruin somebody, it's designed to cripple their soul. And I wasn't about to put my family on embarking upon a journey down that road. Number two, I was not about to allow the privacy of my personal life, the trust I have with my friends, and the real relationships I have with them to be violated in such an vindictive and abusive manner. Simply was not going to happen. I received the latest article of legal harassment on Friday, March 22nd, 2024. After a month now of litigation exhausting even the court with relentless amendments to their Rule 202 petition, my ex-employer was finally awarded their request for my oral deposition and any document of communication with my friends that they believe may provide any avenue to sue me or others. As it stands, they await my forced cooperation. I will not. I will continue to fight. Now, here's the big question, is what was their entire reason for this harassment and the basis for their claims? These documents, an NDA. Some more context. I signed this separation agreement, an NDA, containing a strict and very broad non-disparagement clause many years ago. I voluntarily left my job after deciding I could no longer put myself or my growing family through the toxic and abusive work environment I had endured for years. This place was and is to this day a workplace rife with sexual misconduct, degeneracy, and aggression. The things I saw, the things done to me, and the things I witnessed my employer do to others were disgusting, shocking, and utterly indefensible.
Okay. There's something I want to note. Well, a couple things so far. Number one, two things can be true at once. So it can be true that, and I'm not saying it is true, I'm pontificating. It can be true that Steven Crowder runs a toxic workplace. It can also, at exactly the same time, be true that Jared colluded with Hilary in order to fuck Steven Crowder over. Both of those things can be true at the same time. And having been through toxic workplaces myself, having studied it for a very long time, having worked with countless people who have been in situations of workplace bullying and toxic workplaces and all that, I can say that it is absolutely horrible to go through a toxic and abusive work environment, but that does not entitle you to collude with someone's ex-wife in order to extort him for money. Okay? Another thought I'm having, and maybe Jared will get to this, there's still about 10 minutes of the video left to go, is, it kind of seems like Jared's already breaking his NDA by doing this video. He's already breaking the NDA, right? Because that's like one of the bones of contention, right? This much I've gleaned from the morning of this. And so if Jared is already breaking the NDA by doing this video in the first place, is he going to provide receipts for the accusations that he's making? Because it's like, if you've already broken the NDA anyway, there's no reason really not to just really fucking go whole hog and be like, here are the receipts for everything I'm saying, mother effers, because he's making some pretty shocking accusations. Now, he's making accusations that for people who want to hate Steven Crowder, they're absolutely believable, right? If someone wants to dislike Steven Crowder, then the basis of these accusations alone give them more reason to dislike Steven Crowder. But that doesn't mean the accusations are true. It just means he's making the accusations, and it's his responsibility to provide receipts and evidence for the accusations he's making.
I have the receipts.
Oh, you do? Where are they?
This all took a serious toll
Where
on my
are
personal
they?
health.
I couldn't have timed that more perfectly, could I? Okay, so he has the receipts. Where are the receipts? Why aren't you showing them? You've already broken your NDA.
To the point near the end of my tenure, the work environment had become so toxic that I...
Hang on. How possible is it that Dave Landau didn't sign an NDA regarding... It's very possible that Dave did not sign an NDA. It's extremely possible that Dave did not sign an NDA. Let me tell you how this stuff usually works in organizations like this. So in professionalized organizations, like your kind of like typical office environment, oftentimes when someone is hired, they have a whole packet of paperwork they need to sign. And one of those things typically is an NDA, but not all the time. Maybe like 50-50. Like I've seen NDAs probably 50% of the time when you actually get hired onto a job. However, in organizations that are more like startup type environments, they typically, which is what my perception of Louder with Crowder is, typically they don't require an NDA when you're hired. And typically what happens is you get hired, you do the job, you decide you want to quit, or you get fired. And as you're walking out the door, they slide the NDA off the table and say, we'll pay you a certain amount of money if you sign this document and keep your mouth shut about what we're doing here. This happened to me. This happened to me on multiple occasions. I got some really good severance. I got really good I got a literal down payment on my house from one of these. We're talking about like a lot of money in some cases, right? So it can be very tempting to sign an NDA, but I've also had the experience of like what I had the experience at one time when they slid that NDA across the table at me. They didn't offer me enough money to keep my mouth shut. They did not offer me that much money at all. And so I was like, go fuck yourself. I'm saying what I want to say. So it really, like, it would not surprise me if Dave Landau never signed an NDA. And quite frankly, I don't think Jared should have signed an NDA. Never fucking sign an NDA unless you absolutely have to, or unless they're bribing you with like a very large amount of money. Just don't do it. Same with the non-competes are really non-enforceable, but like, don't ever sign that shit either.
had to be admitted into a heart hospital. And after many tests, I was ultimately put on anti-anxiety medication. This condition was something new to
you
me.
can
I have no
inflict that on
history of it
yourself,
prior to
though,
my
bro.
employment there, and have never been treated for it since. Now, when I decided to resign, my wife was pregnant with her firstborn child. It was a terrifying position to be put in, but I absolutely knew that I could not be the husband or dad I was called to be for them in my current state. Something had to change. And if I couldn't change my work environment, then it was time for me to remove myself from it. I was fully aware that willfully resigning would mean I would forfeit any sort of severance. I trusted that God would provide. What I had not anticipated is how much it would cost me to quit. This is where my first experience with legal abuse began. Starting from the day I delivered my notice of resignation, I was put on the phone with company lawyers, and the good cop, bad cop coercion campaign to get my signature on an NDA was well underway. I was told many lies throughout this process. I immediately hired my own legal counsel, and by the grace of God, understanding my predicament, he even agreed to work for half of his normal rate. Even so, the legal fees immediately began to pile up.
Why?
My former employer and his attorney argued I could not work in media anywhere in the world, and most certainly not in the United States for 2 years. This is not because I had voluntarily signed some sort of non-compete in my original employment agreement. It was because they decided a non-solicitation clause that was in said original agreement would retroactively be interpreted as the broadest and strictest non-compete.
Okay, if this is true, and I'm not saying it is, I want to see receipts for all of this, but like if this is true, that is kind of a bullshit thing for Crowder to do. He should have just let him go. Like, wish you well, bro. Here's what should have happened. Jared, here is a fat check for signing this NDA and keeping your mouth shut about what goes on here. And I wish you nothing but the best. Love you, love your family. Go on your merry way. Follow your bliss. Keep your mouth shut. I just gave you a fat check. Don't talk about what goes on here. But, you know, we're going to part as friends. You can go get whatever job you want in whatever industry you want. I'm not going to give you a hard time. That's really what should have happened.
Could draft. It told me my Twitter account, another potential lifeline to future work, which I'd owned and been the sole manager of since 2009, was to be turned over to them on the argument that it was somehow their intellectual property now. Presumably to keep me from working even further, my former employer even tried to claim my personal production equipment.
Yeah, this is all bullshit.
I had owned for years prior to working there as company
Not
property.
cool.
After producing every receipt to validate my ownership, a vicious lie that I stole from the company was born and disseminated by my employer. By the way, breaking their side of this bogus mutual non-disparagement agreement. I have those receipts as well. All I simply wanted to do was peacefully leave. It was clear by my employer, though, that this was not only unacceptable, but that I needed to be punished for doing so. Being bullied on each of these terms and many more, fighting for my basic freedoms to leave and provide for my family, immediately sent me into legal debt. I did not want to sign anything, mind you. But the negotiations with my former employer left no question that without a signed NDA, my guaranteed silence, I would undoubtedly be harassed well into the future. No matter if there are future claims against me for where I worked or what I did or what I said were legitimate or not, it didn't matter. It would cost me thousands and thousands to fight back, and they knew that. I had to make a deal.
I really have a hard time believing at this point that Jared has the receipts that he says he has. Maybe he does. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. But if you've already broken your NDA by making this video in the first place, and this whole thing is, again, I don't think that Jared just did this on his own. He's apparently coordinated with Hilary Crowder. Apparently they're coordinating with Candace Owens still, because Candace Owens is a narcissist, and narcissists they can't help themselves. So at this point in the video, Jared is already in trouble because he's already broken his NDA. So why isn't he providing the receipts? Because it's kind of like, if you're not giving me anything to look at, but you claim you have them, I feel like this would have been a better coordinated smear campaign if they had said, here is all the evidence of Steven Crowder being the worst nightmare in the history of bosses. That way, at least people would have been like, yeah, he's talking about how he has to go on anti-anxiety medication. Like, okay, that's sad. That sucks, bro. I mean, it really does. I feel for you. Fine. But why is that more important than actual evidence of what you're talking about? Because he's making some really bold accusations.
With nothing but a small savings account and my last paycheck, I had to accept the deal I could afford.
Probably true. Mm-hmm.
It's very important to note here that, where is it? It's here. I was not paid a single dollar for its consideration. which brings me to what you might be asking next. What was the reason I did sign this? And again, as a man with his first child on the way, the small victory I got from it. The primary reason I signed the NDA was for a small carve-out in the non-compete clause, which allowed me to freely seek employment using some of my skill sets at another specific company. At least I could feed my family. That provision, however, was a lie. And upon starting my new job at the new said company, I was giving another one of these, a cease and desist, and was promptly unlawfully terminated from that position.
Well, hang
I
on.
added thousands more to my legal debt trying to fight back.
Unlawfully terminated. Unlawfully terminated. What does that mean? Because the vast majority of jobs in the United States are employment at will. Employment at will means you can be fired at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. Employment at will makes it virtually impossible for someone to be unlawfully terminated. It is really, really difficult. It's near impossible to prove it in a court because employment at will means any employer can fire you at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. Now, that might sound pretty shitty to people who are just hearing about this for the first time, but think about it on the other side. It also means you can quit at any time for any reason or for no reason at all. You don't have to give 2 weeks notice to an employer. You can if they're willing to pay you for it and pay out your vacation days or something like that, but you are under no obligation to give notice to an employer. You can just leave. And that's what employment at will does. It protects both the employer and the employee. So I have a hard time believing he was unlawfully fired because really there is no such thing in the vast majority of jobs. What I will say is that if Steven Crowder or people that work for him interfered in the new job, that's kind of fucked, and they should probably sue him for that. But that's different than being unlawfully terminated.
Back, my wife was very pregnant by this time, and without a financial safety net for groceries and a baby crib, much less a legal fund to file a countersuit, I simply had to let it go, trusting God had a plan. To that point, I want to say that I'm happy to report that he did have a plan, and what was intended for evil, God used for good. And it took me years to pay off my legal debt. But the story of God's faithfulness in my life became a very large part of my testimony. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunities that he gave me. And yeah, it's a story for another day. But back to this. While my supposed non-compete expired after 2 years, unfortunately, the most egregious part of my NDA, the part that silences my free speech, has no expiration. While NDAs are classically used to protect trade secrets, unfortunately, in the entertainment industry, they are too often used to protect disgusting, unlawful activity and many forms of abuse. We see examples of this all the time. Powerful people and their attorneys routinely use NDAs to silence victims in order to remain powerful people. Free speech matters.
It kind of is, Bobby.
Matters a lot to me, and that's not just a t-shirt slogan. It really matters. And these kinds of NDAs right here, stemming from this, are unquestionably unconstitutional. I will not live with the burden of this unconstitutional NDA over my head for the rest of my life.
I mean,
especially when information
no one forced you to sign it, bro. Literally, no one forced you to sign it. Like, I'm sorry, he was dumb to sign it in the first place because non-compete clauses are virtually unenforceable. Non-compete clauses are far more unconstitutional than NDAs. And I don't like either of them, but like, you can't enforce non-compete clauses are almost never enforced. So that was the one he just should have ignored. Like, he shouldn't have traded modifying his non-compete clause for signing an NDA. That was the mistake that he made, because no one forced him to sign that NDA. Again, I've been in situations where I've been let go from jobs, and in one of those instances, they slid a really fat check across the table and said, "We're going to give you this fat check if you sign this document for us." And I was like, "No problem, bro." And in the other instance, they slid the document across the table with a teeny tiny little check. And I said, "That check is not remotely the size that it needs to be to get me to sign this document." And they said, "Well, we're not giving you any more money." And I said, "Go fuck yourselves. I'm not signing that." And then I left. And then the next day, they sent me a registered letter in the mail from the lawyer threatening me. And I said again, "Go fuck yourself." And guess what? I never heard from them again. Magically, it was like poof. They just disappeared because there wasn't shit they could do about it. And they knew it and I knew it. And so while I do sympathize with him getting put in this position where he's being pressured to do something that he doesn't want to do, he's worried about feeding his family. I get all of that. That's all valid. But he voluntarily signed the document. No one forced him to do that, and the trade he made to do it was stupid in the first place.
I have can be used to aid other victims escape their own abusive situations, which is the context for which this former employer feels they caught me breaking my agreement. Let me be clear, what I'm afraid of is legal harassment in perpetuity, not the truth. Only one side of this ordeal is spending a fortune to hide truth and punish anyone who dares speak up for themselves or other victims. While I will not give in to the harassment by my former employer, I have to recognize that this process has already become unbearably expensive, not only because of the general expense of the legal process, but because my former employer has seemingly unlimited wealth and resources to gleefully spend punishing powerless people. I tried to handle legal fees on my own these last months, and the fees have already reached the tens of thousands of dollars with no resolution in sight. Unstopped, this type of legal abuse could go on for years and years and quickly escalate into hundreds of thousands of dollars as I fight to protect myself and my family. I cannot put my wife and my children through this. Not again. I cannot be bound to an unconstitutional NDA like this forever. Protecting my family means finding a path that doesn't leave us in financial ruin, and we are simply out of funds.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like what I'm kind of worried about right now. Like, he keeps claiming these outrageous claims of harassment and abuse and all this stuff. And again, I think that if you hate Steven Crowder and you want to hate Steven Crowder, it can be very easy to believe that this stuff is real. But are we literally just talking about jokes on a comedy show? Because I'm not seeing any proof of this.
And I have no other option but to ask for help. I'm asking for donations for two reasons. Number one, obviously to help with the financial burden I've already accrued with this legal matter right here. That's taking care of. That matter is priority number one as I'm going further and further into debt with each passing day. The second reason I'm asking for financial assistance, is to proactively address my unconstitutional anti-free speech NDA, which is the basis for all of their claims against me. The simplest resolution here would be for my ex-employer to release me from the NDA. Give me and my fellow ex-employees the same free speech they publicly champion for every other American. But I can almost guarantee you that will not happen.
You shouldn't have signed
I've
the
already witnessed
document,
them spend
bro.
unfathomable amounts of money in other cases to protect
Shouldn't have
their double
signed
life and secrets.
it.
No more darkness. That's why, beyond the current burden I face from my ex-employer's legal abuse, I will be using these donations to fight back and file a counter motion, placing my unconstitutional NDA before a judge to have it dissolved in its entirety. I want my First Amendment rights back. I want to stop the cycle of abuse, and I want truth to be known. This takes incredible resources I simply don't have. Truthfully, I don't know how much money this will take, probably much more than my current goal is. But every penny I do have left from your donations will go toward helping other ex-employees, dear friends of mine, fight back and escape their identical situations with the same employer.
Stunning and brave. Stunning and brave.
To accept donations, I've set up a GoFundMe. And to make it easy, you can go to freejaredmonroe.com. It will take you there. Please share this message. I know some of you cannot afford to help, but simply retweeting this post helps so much. And for any of you who can help, big or small, public or anonymous, I, my wife, my children, thank you from the bottoms of our hearts. And I do just want to say this. If you too are or have been a victim of such abuse, for whatever it's worth, know that I see you and I hear you, and I encourage you to be courageous. No
Stunning
more
and brave.
darkness.
Stunning and
Victims
brave.
of the cruel and powerful deserve a voice.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Truth is the sword.
Victims of the cruel and powerful. No, fuck no, I didn't sign an NDA for PragerU. No. Are you serious, bro? What did he just say?
Victims of the cruel
and powerful deserve a voice? Bro. This was a job. It was a job that you could have left at any time. No one forced you to sign an NDA. I'm sorry I'm okay. Like, I do feel badly for what, like, if what he's describing is true, I genuinely feel badly for him. I really, really do. But I say this with love. It's not Steven Crowder's fault you were weak and signed a piece of paper that you didn't want to sign. That was your decision, and you have to take responsibility. Being a man, and I don't know why I know this more than some men do this, being a man means taking responsibility for your decisions. You could have left the job at any time. You chose not to. I know that you wanted to keep it. I know you wanted to fix it. It sucks. But that doesn't mean you are the victim of some all-powerful oppressive force.
and powerful deserve a voice. Truth is the sword that slays the monsters. So let there be truth. Free speech matters.
Okay. Well, that was a good start. Let's jump over. We don't have any receipts, but let's just jump over and see what we have on the Twitters. We've got Hilary Crowder's Twitter. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let's see what Hilary is tweeting to her new 11,000 followers on an account that was just created. Okay, so she's being so Hilary Crowder is being supported. So Matt Walsh is supporting Hilary Crowder. Matt Walsh's wife is supporting Hilary Crowder. We know Ben Shapiro donated to Jared. We know Candace Owens is on Jared's side. It kind of seems like everything is coordinating around the Daily Wire. Is this a coincidence that every single thing is coordinating again around the Daily Wire? Deadpool Kid, Crowder's crew said they released documents on the website. We're getting there, bro. We're getting there. There's a sequence. I'm gonna watch Gerald's video too. We can go look at the documents. Relax, chill. Well, I mean, this is the thing. It can be true that Crowder can be an asshole. Crowder can be a micromanager. Crowder, I would never go to work for Steven Crowder. Oh, no. Not all the money in the world would make me go to work for that guy. No offense. I think he's really funny. I think he's really smart, but I'm not working for that. No. But that doesn't mean that he is what Jared says he is. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but I don't have any evidence to say that so far. Let's see. Do justice. Walk humbly. love mercy. I get I'm sorry. I get inherently skeptical of anyone. And I know sometimes I tweet stuff like this and maybe it makes people skeptical of me, but like it rubs me the wrong way. Jared is a good man, a great father, and loyal husband. Anyone who has been on the other side of legal abuse like this knows how financially and emotionally devastating it can be. Please retweet this, and please support this stunning and brave man. Let's see, what else is Hilary doing? Oh, Hilary, I'm blocked by Andrew Tate too. Just replying to people, blah, blah, blah. All right, so Hilary's, I don't know what the fuck that is, but fine. All right, we're not getting into Andrew Tate drama. Let's see. Oh, Candace Owens is replying to this. Wait till they find out what he's been doing to his wife. I never edited my opinion of Steven Crowder because I knew that everything would eventually be revealed. This is really going to be a year of revelations. And then apparently Candace got into a little back and forth with Pearl, where Candace retweeted this. And obviously, Candace Owens blocked me on Twitter after I had a discussion with Nicole Arbor because Candace Owens recorded phone calls with Nicole Arbor and tried to set her up on her first show with the Daily Wire. And Nicole Arbor released a video about it, and I was one of the only people talking about it. And then Nicole Arbor came on my show. And I guess Candace Owens was pretty pissed about that. She was also probably pretty pissed when I made a video exposing her for being a raging liar regarding Eliza Blue. And so Candace Owens at some point proactively sought me out to block me on Twitter, but I have sock accounts, so I can still see what she says. Everything Jared Monroe is saying is true, and he is one of many people that has been enduring this legal abuse for years. Crowder's ex-wife and family and virtually all his former employees, including Dave Landau, should similarly find the courage to speak out. Now, here's the thing. When I see narcissists making declarations like this, I am inherently untrustworthy. I don't believe a single thing coming out of Candace Owens' mouth. So what's her involvement here? This is like a PR spin campaign. I was just making sure the chat know what's happening. Didn't mean that's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats. No worries, bro. No worries. Guys, if you want to help me out, please make sure you mount the like button for me. Smash the like button if you must. If it gets you to hit the like button, just do whatever you want to the like button. Again, shocking disparity between the number of people watching right now and the number of people who have mounted the like button. I would really, really, really appreciate it. All right, Candace says, I have to get Hilary Crowder on my new show. Going to reach out to see if I can get her, as though Candace hasn't already coordinated this. Come on. Let's see. And then Pearl replies, and Pearl says, hey, and by the way, don't take any advice from Pearl either. Basically, take no advice from any woman in this situation, including me. I'm just pontificating on the internet. I don't want anyone to believe any woman in this entire situation, no matter which side you're on or who you like right now. Just Pearly Things says, hey, Candace, I really would urge you to reconsider making their divorce a spectacle. Well, that's interesting, Pearl. You would tell Candace Owens to not make the divorce a spectacle. Wasn't it Pearl who released the divorce papers? Wait, for real. Didn't Pearl release the divorce papers? Hasn't Pearl been talking about this all day? I saw her tweeting about it. Where is it? Pearl has been tweeting about the goddamn divorce papers. I know she has. I'll have to find it in a minute. Conservative Inc. is falling apart on the E drama. Oh, but isn't it glorious, though? Come on. Isn't it glorious? This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Yeah, Pearl has been exposing you were the one who told me this, Dragon Tail. So why is Pearl saying, I really would urge you to reconsider making their divorce a spectacle? Pearl herself has been making it a fucking spectacle. Most of these cases have gag orders so that men cannot talk about what goes on, and women often engage in reputation destruction in order to alienate children from the father and get more time. I read over 100 pages of their court documents, and Hilary stated herself that she was not abusive. Messy divorces happen, but they should not become a show for the world to see for the sake of the children. Please save the children. Save the children. Okay, Pearl's retweeting Gerald. This is Pearl literally releasing the divorce papers. Who the fuck sent just Pearly things the divorce papers? You couldn't send the divorce papers to like Robert Barnes or Viva Frey, who both suck, but like, I mean, they'd be a far better choice to send to than Pearl. Yeah, I saw this too. Chris Rufo is freaking out and saying we need to come together and organize. Well, I would take Chris Rufo a lot more seriously if I hadn't heard multiple times through the grapevine that Chris Rufo, after I launched him into this space, after I did nothing but support him for years, after I overlooked time and time and time again when he wasn't sharing stuff I was putting out there, and then declaring that it was a national scandal when only he reported on it, but not when anyone else reported on it. I kept my mouth shut every fucking time Chris Rufo kind of threw me under the bus, including when I heard he was shit-talking me from multiple sources behind the scenes, and he wants me to come together and organize. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. What Chris Rufo wants to do, and I respect his work, I really, really do. I've expressed a lot of admiration for the guy, but what he has turned into is a narrative building political machine. Bro, do you think I give a fuck? Paul, are you smart enough to follow that wasn't actually the point that I was making? Paul, listen, I know you're new here because I don't recognize you. You're just here for Crowder drama, so I'm going to explain to you how my channel works. We have an IQ requirement. You need to have an IQ requirement of at least a 100 in order to be here. So if you're going to come in my chat and say, Pearl has 1 million more followers than you, I never said that they should come to me. You should absolutely not be sending me divorce papers. Nope. I said they should have been sent to a lawyer, Paul. Do you understand that, Paul? We'll wait. Anyway, back to this. We already read that. Okay, let's see what's next. And then Candace said, you literally reported on exclusive information from his divorce last year. You just chose the wrong side. The only chance his wife and kids have is if this legal abuses are exposed. This isn't male versus female. His male employees have been similarly abused. And then Pearl says, no, Paul, your retard level IQ is showing, Paul. No, I didn't. You need to open. We listen here. We listen. We talk less. We listen more. I said that the papers should have been sent to a lawyer, not just Pearly things. Try again, Paul. Say one more stupid thing and we're just going to ban you because we don't have any time for stupidity here. I'm sorry. Hey, Candace, if he is abusive, why has there been no police reports filed? Family court does not rely on evidence, so credible claims will be filed in criminal court. The reason I reported on that is because she states explicitly in court documents that he is not abusive. If everyone is calling him that, corrections should be made. All right, Paul is now banned because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Goodbye. The audio recording of the house changes the context of the ring footage too. I'm more than happy to send them to you. As of now, we have not heard his side of the story, just everyone piling on. Generally, there are orders in place that are applied to the men and not the women. Texas is especially bad for this. You would be surprised as to how far women would go to ruin a man's reputation, especially with a celebrity. Oh my God, Pearl sounds so stupid. I can hear this tweet in Pearl's voice, and it's just like it's grating on me. It's like how old is Pearl? Like 25 or something, 25, 26, something like that. Still, not married, of course. Why would she be married? She just talks about being a tradcon all the time. I can hear it in like that arrogant kind of condescending voice of a 26-year-old who thinks they know everything about life, and they're going to teach you a thing or two about life when they're 26 years old and they're unmarried and they don't know shit about shit, but they talk on the internet and they have millions of followers who really love them and simp for them all the time, and so they must know everything. You would be surprised as to how far a woman will go to ruin a man's reputation, especially with celebrity entertainment lawyers involved. The issue is all of these witnesses you are mentioning are profiting off of this. They are either asking for donations or building a brand off of the abuse. They cannot be deemed as credible. And then Candace said, we are hearing his side of the story through you. His wife has no contacts in media. Candace, I'm old enough to remember all the drama from last year. And I'm old enough to remember that you specifically said on your show that you had talked to Hilary Crowder. So how is it possible, Candace? How is it possible that Hilary Crowder has how is it possible in general that Hilary Crowder has no contacts in media? But specifically when she talked to you, Candace, and probably other people at the Daily Wire last year, and everyone at and apparently she's talking to Matt Walsh's wife. Like everyone at the Daily Wire is rallying around Hilary Crowder for reasons I'm sure we can probably guess. How is it possible she has no contacts in media? That's retarded. Legal abuse is abuse. Attempting to bankrupt and intimidate someone who cannot afford to fight you in courts is abuse. There is literally nothing you can say here that will stop me from reaching out to her, given Jared breaking his silence. Again, Candace reached out to her last year. This is not the first time they've talked. And that's based on stuff Candace said. And then Pearl says, I'm giving my take based on my experience documenting some of the things that go on in family court. Yeah, Pearl is a journalist regarding family court. Not Crowder's side. How does private ring footage get into your hands? Well, this is exactly the point. This is actually, you know what? Good for Pearl. How did the private ring footage get from Hilary Crowder to Candace Owens and the Daily Wire? Hilary Crowder just has no media contacts except the people that she sent the ring footage to last year. That does not make sense. Someone in her camp leaked it. Yup. I have seen similar cases before this. I hope for your sake that the facts are on your side. But the issue is many times men go through this system and it takes years for the full truth to come out because women are generally not punished for breaking gag orders where men are. She stated in her affidavit that she was not abusive. The issue is feminists have changed the terms to apply it literally to everything and generally apply it to anything. I would encourage you to consider the children. Save the children. But I will wait and see what you come out with. All right, that seems to be the end of that exchange. That was Pearl's Twitter account. All right, let's watch Gerald's video because apparently I heard that Gerald actually brought the receipts. So let's see what he had to say. Guys, please mount the like button for me, regardless if you are on Steven Crowder's side or Not Gay Jared's side. Please make sure you're mounting the like button, especially on YouTube. Again, we've got a shocking disparity between the number of people watching and the number of people who have hit the like button for me. Please do so. I appreciate it.
I just want to say off the top that none of this had to happen. None of it. Didn't have to be this way at all. We didn't choose this. It was chosen for us. In fact, as I'll tell you in just a few minutes, we went to great lengths to give people the ability to do the right thing, to honor their agreements, and to do what they said they were going to do. Unfortunately, they chose a different path. For the last year and a half, everything you've seen in the public eye has been part of a well-orchestrated plan. What is that plan? To assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Steven. I'll show you the quotes. I'll show you the text messages. I'll show you everything. All of the stuff that we did not talk about because we were giving people the opportunity to do the right thing. Taking the hits, taking the hit pieces, dealing with all of it to give people the opportunity to do the right thing. They chose not to. I wonder why Jared decided to release his video.
Hang on, we got Deadpool Kid, thank you. I'm just kind of dumbfounded how Candace, Sydney, Daily Wire will immediately pull out the daggers when someone in Conservative Inc. is in bad PR. I don't know much. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what I learned from being on the periphery of this entire little industry. The only thing that matters is who your friends are. That's it. The truth does not matter to any one of these people. To no one. No one who is an influencer at any scale. The truth does not matter to them. What matters to them is painting a narrative, articulating a message they want out to the public, making money, building clout, being famous, and simping for their friends. You can have the most shocking information, the most shocking stories that the public needs to know about, and those stories will never, ever, 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 ever be covered if you are not friends with the right people. If you are friends with the right people, you can have, I'm sorry, some of the worst, most retarded content in the history of content, and that will be covered because you are friends with the right people. That's all these people care about. So why are they pulling out the daggers? Because Candace Owens, Sydney Watson, and the Daily Wire hate Steven Crowder. I don't know what Sydney Watson's deal is with him. And generally, I think that Sydney Watson is kind of okay. Like, kind of. But I know what Candace Owens and the Daily Wire's deal is with Steven. They hate him based on the leaked contract negotiations from last year. And so any chance they have to smear him or to help out Steven's opponents, it doesn't matter what it is. They're going to do it, and they're going to jump the gun to do it because they don't care what the truth is. They care about destroying the enemy and doing whatever they need to in terms of destroying the enemy.
yesterday. Just for some backstory, there had been no communication between our attorneys for
I'm going to turn
a
my
couple
mic
of
down a little
weeks,
bit. I think it's loud.
so there was no impetus for it.
Sorry
The
about that.
document compelling him to give a deposition had already expired on March 15th. So when he released his video yesterday, he asked you to contribute money for a lawsuit that did not exist, unless he's had a lawsuit that he would like to file, which he indicated maybe that was the case. We had not sued Jared. We simply asked Jared to knock it off. I'll get into the timeline of that. But Tuesday, March 26th, was the day that he chose to release his video. I wonder if it had anything to do with Wednesday, March 27th being the 5th day of
Oh,
mediation.
is this what it is? Steven is friends with Elijah Schaefer and offered him work after the Blaze fired him. So Steven is Sydney Watson's enemy. I get it. Okay. Thank you, Boom. You always know the gossip. I appreciate that.
Between Stephen and Hilary. Why release it the day before mediation? Mediation is a great opportunity for people to come together and resolve their differences peacefully. This is the 5th day. If you want to do some research on how many days it normally goes on during divorces, you can. It's not 5. Here's the timeline. On October 27th, 2023, we filed our original Rule 202 petition that Jared mentioned. Rule 202 petition is basically saying, hey, we're serious. Please knock it off and tell us how far this went. On October 30th, we sent a cease and desist. At that time, October 30th, 2023, all Jared had to do was respond in writing saying that he was going to knock off what he was doing. He was going to stop violating his agreement that he voluntarily entered into. He chose not to. Legal fees associated with writing us a letter would have been minimal, if any at all. And I have the receipts as to why we sent this to him in the first place, after around 6 years of no communication in this way. December 14th, we had one amendment to our Rule 202 petition, not quite the exhausting of the court as Jared made it seem, that we were trying to bully him with the law. March 15th, that 202 expired. March 26th, Jared releases his video. Jared, like I said, was raising money for a lawsuit that didn't even exist until this morning. It now exists because Jared has shown that he will continue to violate his NDA to be a part of this scheme to assimilate damaging PR assets to put pressure on Stephen in the divorce. I'll show you all the receipts, guys. It's there. He's actively flirted with violations in the past, and now he's involving himself in a private divorce for which he was recruited to leverage the company as part of this long-standing plan. And I'm going to say it over and over again to make sure you guys understand. We've been living with this for the last year and a half. The plan is to assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Stephen. Per Hilary's father, here come the receipts. I hate being in this position, guys. It gives me no pleasure to go down this road. I am being forced to go down this road by their actions to defend this company, to defend the over 30 employees that work for this company. I am not a guy that picks a fight. But if you tell me by your actions, by ignoring easy off-ramps, easy opportunities to do the right thing, that you are not going to stop coming after me and coming after this company and coming after the employees that work here and that put blood, sweat, and tears into this business, if you tell me my choice is to fight you or let them be taken out, I am absolutely going to step up and fight for them. Every time. We tried to do this the right way. It's frustrating for me. But you need to know the truth, and that's what's coming out today. All of this information's publicly available. Court documents, not opinion. Not saying I have receipts and not providing them. I'm providing them for you right now. By the way, this is the court filing. for Jared. We'll be releasing that so everybody can have access to it.
See,
of course,
this is
taking
how
steps
you
to
provide
redact
receipts.
personal information because we would never want to dox anyone. Here is Hilary's father in a group text thread to the family. And it's a message that was liked by Hilary. The type of team I want. They understand right-wing media. They are familiar with who Stephen is and that world and the things that would destabilize him. Remember that word, destabilize. Fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of this divorce are reasonable and attainable. Not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media/Brian Friedman and PR strategy that will significantly threaten this public persona and brand. That's
That was
from
2022.
Hilary's. Yes. This has.
So what did I say? What did I say last year when that Ring camera footage got released? I said from the very beginning, I was like, I'm on Stephen's side. I think that footage is edited. I think this is all a smear campaign that has been coordinated between Hilary Crowder and her people and Candace Owens and the Daily Wire because they were pissed off at the contract negotiations. And now our first receipt is already showing that in 2022, they wanted to engage in some sort of public smear campaign in order to damage Stephen's public reputation. I'm never wrong about this shit, man. I'm like, don't, you can poo-poo about psychology all you want, but like, I know my shit and I know how to evaluate social systems.
Has been the plan from the beginning, guys. This is what we have been dealing with behind the scenes and not commenting on. We'll get to Brian Friedman here in just a second, but this is where Jared gets involved. After 6 years of no communication,
everyone owes me $2.
Jared
Thank
gets
you.
roped into Hilary's plan, gets involved in this plan. February 17th of 2023, and just leave that overlay up for me. Hilary and Jared met in Atlanta to discuss their strategy, and they took this picture.
Why are
How
they
he
meeting?
Changed my mind. I guess a proposed book that Hilary would like to write to apply more pressure to Stephen.
What?
February 20th.
Wow.
Per Jared's text messages, any scenario where Hilary and I team up is the end of him, meaning Stephen. It is his worst nightmare. Watch the real fear enter his eye when Tim asks the question. All been going on behind the scenes. Can you believe the actions of people that are out in public saying they're trying to do the right thing, and yet behind the scenes scheming to pressure Stephen with a negative PR campaign?
Yes, you are.
It's going to be
you are
worse
exempt.
in just a minute,
Thank
guys.
you.
Unfortunately, this isn't a fun day, but it's a day that has to happen where people need to know what's really going on. February 21st, 2023, Jared says this to Hilary. I think
this is a really good point. Stephen's had a paternity test, right? Because like, why is Jared skulking around with Stephen's wife? Like, the stuff with Jared happened a long time ago, right? Why didn't he just leave? Why is he skulking around with Stephen's wife? I know he's married too, but does that seem a little bit odd?
There's a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that.
Oh, right. Those are
I just
those
don't
are
want him
IVF
anywhere near
babies.
those kids.
Well, I
that
guess never mind.
really disturbs me. Why do this? This was done specifically in order to get more than Hilary would get in court, or that Stephen even offered her, because his offers have been more generous than Hilary would ever get in court, per Hilary. From a text exchange between Hilary and her mother. Again, all public information, guys. This is a part of court filings, not us pulling anything, not us opining. The financial offer was serious, and the business evaluator and both of my attorneys agreed the financial offer was good. And while that's better than I would get in court, I want more freedom than that, referring to as well custody of the children. remember that the financial offer was serious, and the business valuator and both of my attorneys agreed the financial offer was good. Offer was rejected. Why? Let's go back to the plan. To assimilate damaging PR assets and wage a negative publicity campaign against Stephen. And then, after doing that, they could make it all go away for Stephen. Per Hilary's father to Hilary and other family members in a group text. The longer the divorce proceedings go on, the worse the outcome for SC, Stephen Crowder. Developing damaging OK PR assets should be pursued. That deliverable is up to us, not the legal team. I wonder why. And at the right time, Mark Scroggins, the first of three attorneys, will show SC the path to make it all go away. Do you understand what they're saying there, guys? We're going to wage a campaign against Stephen. Not to tell the truth about Stephen, but to misrepresent things that are going on so that we can put pressure on him. Doesn't matter if these things are true or not. People are going to run with it because, hey, Stephen Crowder tells some jokes sometimes that offend people. So they're going to run with it and they're going to put pieces out in the newspaper. And then when the pressure is so much, when we have wrecked his life enough, at the right time, and I quote, bring it back up, at the right time, Mark, referring to Hilary's first divorce attorney, will show SC the path to make it all go away. They both want money, maybe fame. They don't care if it's at the expense or well-being of the children or the family, or if they do, they're hiding that fact very well. And look, based on what we've discussed, they don't believe that Mug Club should even exist because it should all belong to them. Having an undercover unit? No, that money belongs to Hilary. Going out and getting these documents released so you guys could know what's going on about the Nashville manifesto, about the Chippewa Falls stuff that we've revealed and the other stories that we are working on right now? No, it belongs to them. Being able to bring in additional people to carry the load here? No, belongs to them. This is the through line with every single point. And this is something new. Not new to us, but new to you. And I want to tell you this from the perspective of somebody who hates to have to do this. I do not in any way want to be in the position that I am in right now, having to react to people's bad decisions, but I don't have any other choice because it has been made clear by their actions over the last year and a half plus that there is no other way to say, guys, stop what you're doing. You have to quit. You have to do the right thing. You have to honor your agreements. Hilary is not doing that. And so this company is suing Hilary for extortion against us. We filed a lawsuit against Hilary, her family, and media reps for tortious interference and their extortion conspiracy scheme.
Yo.
Which I will lay out in detail. I take no pleasure in that.
Listen, man.
I wish everybody...
It's kind of like you fuck around, you find out. And I really, it's like... If Candace Owens keeps sticking her nose in this, she's going to get a lawsuit thrown at her too. I promise you. I don't feel bad for them. I said a year ago that I thought Hilary and her family were fucking around. She should have just taken the money, man.
They would go and just do the right thing, and we could all get on with our lives. And you can tune into this show and see updates about news, comedy, everything that you love about this show. Additional content from great people that you love to hear from. But unfortunately, I can't do that today. I hope we can get back to doing that very soon. In fact, we will tomorrow. But I hope we never have to address this kind of stuff again. I hope people understand that we're serious. We will defend the people that are here in this company. Let's talk about some things that you know and maybe some things that you don't know. So, one of the things you know, the ring footage, right? Everybody remembers that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Guess what? It was edited, wasn't it?
my machine just froze.
Going out at all or no?
We're still going out.
All right.
It's just stuck
Okay.
on your camera
Stuck on
right
me.
now.
That's, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be right now. Just going to talk you guys through this. Here's what you know. Ring footage that was sent out that tried to portray Stephen in a very negative light, having an argument with his wife. Stephen admitted he's not a perfect guy. There are definitely faults. Arguments happen. People always say stuff that they wish they could either take back or was taken out of context in arguments. But here's what you don't know. Hilary deleted all of the other footage from that house on the Ring cameras and the Lake residence when a court expressly barred her from doing so.
I wonder why she did
How
that.
many hours? Over 2,000 hours.
I wonder why.
Also, 8,000 hours never even handed over,
Wow.
along with 18 seconds from the doctored video itself. A note, Substack video had small portions that were not even included in the court-issued videos, which means that it came from some other source. You can do the math. This was all a part of the plan that we talked about. To assemble negative PR
I called
assets
this.
to
I
wage
said this
a
was what
PR
happened last year.
campaign
Everyone owes
against
me
Stephen,
$2.
to get him
I
to
want to see
give
those super chats.
more,
Come on.
more, never enough, more. That's right. All the other Ring footage from multiple cameras in multiple residences has either been actively destroyed or never even handed over in the first place. Here's another thing you know. There are family claims about
God damn right I
hardships.
was. Mm-hmm.
And we're having a problem, I guess, with the overlays right now, so we can't show you exactly, but I will make all of this stuff available on our website. I'll make sure you guys have full access to all of this. It's not us. This is court documents. This is stuff that has been filed. Claim hardships. Here's what you don't know. Hilary's getting $25,000 per month from Stephen. Per month. $300,000 a year, no taxes held out of it.
Wow.
In Texas, all divorce-related attorneys' fees
Thank you, Alex.
are paid by the estate. Stephen's the only one actively contributing to the estate right now, so you can do the math there.
Thank you.
This is the first time that we know a dime has been spent from Hilary
Thank
on
you.
a lawsuit that isn't coming
Appreciate
from
it.
the estate, also known as Stephen. I don't like that, but I don't have any other options. Here's something else you don't know. Hilary hired...
So Hilary is getting $25,000 a month in child support. Stephen and Stephen is also paying all of her legal fees in the divorce. Who do I have to marry to get 20 to have kids with in order to get I'll divorce my husband right now. Like, no offense, Victor, I love you, but like, who do I have to marry and have kids with in order to get $25,000 a month for child support? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the Carlin was right super chats. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. It's the honor system, of course. Well, I'm not I love and adore Nick, but I am neither a virgin nor a Catholic, nor am I Italian. Nick needs to live his own best life and find his dream girl. I'll be his one of his side girls until then. Yep. I was right. Thank you guys.
Entertainment superstar lawyer Brian Friedman as part of her PR attack against Stephen. I don't know if you guys remember who Brian Friedman is, but he represented Trevor
you.
Bauer's false accuser, releasing images that were doctored. What he knew at the time, what he didn't know, still up for a little bit of debate, but it looks like there was some reason to believe maybe this claim wasn't 100% on the up and up. Trevor's been exonerated. It's been proven that this person lied about all of this. Maybe she even lied to Friedman. Who knows? But Friedman was all too willing to rush out and ruin a man's career that I believe had just signed a $100 million contract to play baseball and subsequently lost that contract. Still trying to get back into the major leagues, even though he's a well-accomplished pitcher. Should be on a roster somewhere. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that he was proven right. It just matters that the lie was put out there and that the campaign was waged against him. And Friedman represented the same journalist who leaked the Ring video. Here's something else you know.
Thank you.
Media
Appreciate
hit
it.
pieces.
Whoa.
We all saw that, right, Tim? Hit pieces coming.
Whoa, we got a big, so thank you guys for all the $2 super chats. Big super chat from Deadpool Kid. I consider myself right wing, but the fact that influencers I follow are only looking to exploit the problems for personal gain, influence, and offer no solutions that everyone is facing, my patience is really thin. Deadpool Kid, you listen, I don't mean to pat myself on the back, and people in the chat can back me up on this, but I don't recognize you, so I think you might be new here. If you think the conservative clout chasing influencers suck and you're actually concerned about real problems in the real world, you have found a place in my community, bro. We think everyone sucks, but we particularly hate people like the conservative influencers who cause problems and engage in circular firing squads and all sorts of fucking bullshit in order to be famous and make money and get likes and clicks and all that. You're home, bro. You're home. We got you. Hang out. You can complain all you want here. You can get it all out because they all suck. And none of them actually care about the things that they claim to care about.
Out against us last year seemed like
Lots of them, yeah.
seemed like they were planned and orchestrated.
Yeah, lots of hit
Yeah, they
pieces.
one
Come out.
after the other.
One of the claims was that Stephen had revealed his genitalia to people in the office. We talked about that. We addressed all of that.
I guess
Here's
they
what-
didn't- they didn't see our Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 sketch,
yeah.
or when you have to wear, like really thin garments so that you can be painted gold,
Yeah.
right? For some of the sketches that we've done. Here's what you don't know.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jared exposed his penis in professional settings to Stephen. When they were at Wham Radio,
What?
he would expose himself in a way that only Stephen could see. And then for an hour, Stephen would have to sit there talking to people at the radio station about the business dealings of the show and not break. And to them, it was funny then and funny now. We're not calling him out for it. We're just saying it seems a bit odd that he was somebody who participated, maybe even started doing it, and then apparently cried foul about it. Here's some other key facts that I want to bring up. And tell me, do you think these facts seem destabilizing to you? And just first off, just think about that. We want to do things that will destabilize him. We want to put enough pressure on him that he will give us everything that we ask for, and then Mark Scroggins can come in. Their text message guys can come in and show Stephen how to make it all go away. It's exactly what was in the text message. Let's start with Joe Lewis, Stephen's dog. Hilary tried to have Joe Lewis removed from him. Hey, buddy.
What? She tried to take his dog
Falsely
away?
claimed that
Bullshit.
Joe was dangerous, citing the previous owner. The previous owner, let me just say this. That happened while I was in Stephen's office. He got a note saying from Hilary that Joe Lewis was dangerous and needed to be removed from the presence of the children. He almost started crying. She was trying to remove everything from his life to put pressure on him to get more than she would get in court. Thankfully, Stephen was able to contact the previous owner, who signed an affidavit stating that it was not only false, but the exact opposite of what was true in that situation. She also tried to get me to abandon Stephen when she filed for divorce. You heard me correctly. Gerald needs to leave Stephen. I haven't talked to anybody else about that in any detail. As all of this is going on, and this is not part of what I planned on talking about today, guys, but I need you to understand the level of, I don't even know the right word to say, but the crap that we are having to deal with is probably the most polite thing that I can come up with. Can you believe the things that you're hearing? Gerald, in Stephen's
Could be. Yeah,
moment where he needs his best or one of his best friends
for sure.
to be by his side, Gerald, leave him. there's a campaign to apply pressure. That part, I'm assuming now that I know that that was part of the plan. At the time, it was just Gerald, leave him. Unfortunately, Jared echoed those same comments on one of the most difficult days of Stephen's life after not really hearing from Jared for a while. I don't remember exactly how long
Okay.
it was.
So we're having volume complaints. What I'm going to do is turn my microphone volume down. And you guys, listen, guys, I'm not supposed, you guys understand, right? That I'm not actually supposed to be the same volume as the video. But now you can turn your volume up.
It could have been years. I don't know. I can look back. Leave him. Abandon your friend.
The sound
When
is
he's in
fine.
need.
Of course. Everything's fine. People are just
When
complaining.
everybody agreed that it would be great if Gerald could help with Stephen and help advocate for Stephen and be a sounding board for what's going on in life, to be able to talk to him as I had been doing for many years prior to ever being paid anything to do anything with Stephen. I was his friend before. Guess what? I'll be his friend after, if there is an after. He can stop paying me today and it won't change the facts that I have laid out here. And I know exactly what's going to happen. You guys are going to come after me. It's fine. I can handle it. But you're not going to address what I've said that's factually true in court documents publicly available because you can't. It's so clear. Tried to take his dog away to destabilize him as part of the plan. Tried to take me away.
That's really fucking low to fuck with the dog.
That was part of the plan, to destabilize him.
Never trust women in a divorce.
Then got it echoed by Jared.
Ever.
That I should leave him in his darkest, potentially, hour. When he's fighting for his name, for his reputation, and for his life. Here's another thing that you may not know. The address where the children slept part of the time was intentionally doxed. Hilary sent a private,
We're going to
unlisted.
put these assets
Yes,
on Twitter because we can't bring
Okay,
it up right
yeah,
now.
go to Twitter if you guys want to see these assets. We had our overlay machine crashed at the worst possible time. Hilary sent the private and unlisted residential address to Jared. You know how I know it was private and unlisted? Because I was in charge of making sure it was so. Do you know why? To make sure that the kids were safe. Not everybody likes Stephen. Some for very good reason. He comes off and he says a joke. Fine. You don't like that? Fine. If you want to use it, great reason. You don't like somebody because of a joke. But a lot of people don't like him because he pushes back on evil. And there are a lot of groups out there that don't like to be called out. And they don't like Stephen, and maybe they would try to do him harm. And so to make sure that his family is protected, he goes through great lengths to make sure nobody knows where he lives. Hilary intentionally doxed it. I won't use the exact words. You can see it in the image. But it's evil. Shortly after Jared received Stephen's personal address from Hilary, Stephen received a threatening message. The package came from Smyrna, Georgia. Didn't say who it was from, but we later found out that that is mere miles from where Jared lives.
Wow.
Again, Jared's probably going to say, oh, come on, it was a joke. Okay. It's an unlisted address. Nobody knows where he lives. You didn't say who it was from. You just said, watch it, effing watch it on there. I know where that came from. The edited video. I get it. The additional context that I'm not even going into today about what happened in that, but I probably will at some point to give you a little bit more insight. Not even close to what you think it means. Hilary admitted it. Have it on tape. Part of public filings. Stephen receives a package at an address that no one is supposed to have. And then wonders, are my children safe? Am I safe? Who leaked this address? How did this get out? How would you feel if the person that you had children with leaked your private home address, knowing that the kids would be there during certain times of the week?
Wow.
It's something that I can't even comprehend. Something so reckless. I want to say a couple of things as I wrap this up. NDAs are a normal part of doing business.
True.
You sign an NDA voluntarily.
Yep.
Jared signed his voluntarily, and then he breached it. Didn't have to sign it. Could have left. Could have just left. Could have walked away. Didn't have to sign the exit. He signs it on the way in again. Didn't have to sign that either. Never. He voluntarily signed an agreement and then decided to break it. He also lied to you guys and said that I was asking for every single conversation with his friends and that I was telling him that he couldn't contact his friends. No, that's not true. Look at the Form 202 petition that we put out there. I told Jared in that petition, basically like, hey, you have to stop talking about the company. The agreement that you made with us. And that can be as simple, like I said earlier, as making sure no address is divulged to where somebody sleeps with their young children. It's common. I'm not restricting your speech, Jared. I simply asked you to honor your agreement that you voluntarily entered into. And you had every opportunity to do the right thing before being sued today.
I'm glad they're suing them. They deserve it.
We'll get the lawsuit to you, I promise.
They
and I
deserve
hate
it.
Man.
Guys, as we're kind of finishing up this video, we've got about 5 minutes left. Are there any other videos on this topic that I should react to in the course of this stream? Let me know in the chat. I have one of the, like, Tim Pool's been covering this. I thought we could watch some of Tim Pool's coverage because I think he's probably going to go more in depth on the documents that they've just released, and I'd rather Tim talk about it than me having to read all the documents to you. So maybe we'll watch that. But is there anyone else's Pearl? I don't. Does Pearl have a video on it? If Pearl has a video on it, maybe we'll look at that because Pearl seems to have the divorce filings. And so maybe that'll be an interesting thing to look at. But I really don't want to watch Pearl if I'm honest about it. I really don't. Deadpool Kid, thank you again for all the super chats. I appreciate it. This sounds like a very, very Christian tradcon lifestyle I keep hearing about. Note to everyone, I come from a typical family who suffers white trash syndrome. I don't know that this is so much tradcon as it is like, it's just a bitter divorce, man. It's a bitter divorce. It's sad, but bitter divorces happen. She interviews Gerald. All right, we might have to watch Pearl. All right, well, we'll watch Tim Pool first. And then we'll work our way up to Pearl. How's that? How's that for a compromise?
From the very beginning, I talked to the lawyers about making sure that this cost you as little as possible. You don't know that because you never reached out to me. You just assumed the worst. Assumed that I was bought and paid for by Steven. I'm bought and paid for by no one. Again, Steven's friend before this job, Steven's friend after this job. I didn't want this to cost you money. I'm going to say too, to go out and be public.
Listen, I have no problem believing that Steven Crowder is an asshole at all. I like Gerald. I like him. He doesn't strike me as a narcissist. He doesn't strike me as someone with a big chip on his shoulder. He doesn't even really strike me as someone who like wants to be famous. He's just doing this and he's friends with Steven and he sticks by him. And I have a lot of respect for like loyalty and stuff like that. But I don't get like bad, smarmy, snaky vibes from him. So I like, he has credibility, I guess, as much as I'm willing to give.
For everybody. I did want you to honor your agreement and knock it off. When you refused, I needed to know how far this went. That was it. It would have been the end of it. After 2 hearings that maybe lasted about an hour each, and very minimal work, and a deposition deadline that had expired, you decided to come out and say that we had sued you, which we hadn't. That video makes it very clear that the only way that we can get to a place of understanding of what your agreement was and that you should honor it is for me to have to sue you. I did not want it to be this way. I take no pleasure in it. No matter what the outcome, I take no pleasure in it. I just want to protect this company and the people that work here. One thing you also need to know, guys, Hilary is behind this entire plan.
Obviously, I said
to
that from the
assimilate
beginning.
damaging PR assets.
I said that from
and
the
wage a
fucking
negative
beginning.
publicity campaign against Stephen. I'll say it again. That is the plan. And maybe it's because she's taking bad advice. I don't know. All I know is that the actions have been consistent in rejecting very generous offers. More money than Stephen's ever made in his entire life has been offered. No, more. Every time. Every single time. I want to just reiterate all of these lawsuits, all of it. I hate it. I hate every single second of it. It does not give me pleasure. I've said it hopefully enough times for you to understand that I don't like doing this. But if it comes down to defending the company and the employees who pour so much of their lives into it, or staying silent while people repeatedly attack us and violate their agreements with us, then you better believe that I am going to fight like hell to defend this company and to defend our ability to communicate with you and to defend Stephen, as imperfect as he is. We are all imperfect. It didn't have to be this way. There's still time to do the right thing. But I guarantee you what's going to happen again. They're going to attack me and not talk about the facts. They're going to continue to try and wage this campaign against Stephen. Jared, you left in August of 2018. We said nothing about you. Move on with your life, man.
It's good advice.
What in the world are
Move
you
on.
doing? I don't want this line to keep going, but this lawsuit is the only way I feel like we can get any kind of understanding. I'm sorry that it had to happen this way, but it wasn't something that I chose. And look, I'm sorry for all of you who have to hear this drama. We're not pleased in any way to be a part of drama.
He does have
Sometimes
dad
it
vibes.
happens and we have to defend ourselves, and we don't shy away from that, even though it's drama. Nobody likes it when conservatives are fighting one another. Nobody likes it when people are attacking, and it's just like a terrible episode of network TV. I hate it too. We want to get back to doing the content that you like, and we will. I appreciate a lot of you standing up and saying, hey, I know these guys. There's got to be more to the story. I hope today you found out there is a lot more to this story. A whole lot more. There's been a campaign going on for the last year and a half plus, where Hilary has been roping people in, people that she hadn't talked to in years and hadn't even really been friends with, to try and damage Stephen Crowder and get more than a court would allow. It's time for that to stop. Today has to be the day that that starts to change.
Okay, I'm on Crowder's side. I said I was on Crowder's side since the very beginning of all this bullshit. I still remain on Crowder's side today. I think it is fairly obvious what's going on. But let's watch a video from Tim. Let's see. This is the one we should watch, right? This hang on. I need to set up the sound, but this is the one we should watch, right? Can people confirm in the chat that I've already seen this one? This is the video in which Tim reads the stuff, so I don't have to read it. Let me put a poll in the chat. Whose side are you on? Stephen, Jared / Hilary. You can feel free to disagree with me if you want to. So this is the one? All right, let's see what Tim had to say about it so I don't have to read all those documents.
From Jared Monroe, a former employee of Stephen.
Hang on. Oh, God, Tim is very loud. Jesus Christ. Fast Donnie, thank you for the super chat. If Hilary's not careful, she won't get half. She'll get 1/1000th of a half. Plus, yeah, I mean, Hilary is like... Who is talking Hilary into this? Honestly, is this her idea? Is this her father's idea? Does Hilary have some special friend on the side that no one knows about? This is a question. Someone remind me, we have to ask Joshua about this next week and get some insight into what's going on. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. No one ever apologizes for the BS drama like Gerald just did. Much respect. Well, I'll tell you what, no one ever apologizes when they cause the BS drama in the first place and destroy someone's reputation and turn everyone against you for no good fucking reason. All right.
Crowder's show and company, Louder with Crowder, went public saying he was being legally abused because of a non-disparagement and non-disclosure agreement and needed your help. So far, he's raised $72,000 with some very serious accusations against Steven Crowder. Now, the latest news, Louder with Crowder has filed a lawsuit accusing Jared Monroe and Hilary Crowder of an extortion scheme. And I got to say, it does not look good for Jared and Hilary Crowder. Notably, just right off the bat, Steven Crowder's ex-wife claimed that she is in need of work and not doing so well financially. But according to court documents, Steven Crowder's been ordered to pay her $25,000 per month for the last 2 years. So something doesn't seem to add up. Now, I don't know what Hilary Crowder, Steven's ex-wife, how she would respond to those reports. But I do think this is a very interesting story right now, considering, well, Steven Crowder's trending. And I've dealt with some legal issues in the past. And, this is big news.
By the way, not for nothing, but guess who has very, very loudly denounced Steven Crowder on Twitter? It's not someone super famous, but it's someone that my audience knows. Does anyone want to guess who has loudly denounced Steven Crowder as a monster and a narcissist and a horrible person and says she regrets ever paying for Mug Club in the first place? Does anyone know who's denounced? Not James Lynn? Yes. Our old friend Carrie. Carrie has denounced Steve. Yep, you guys know. Carrie, by the way, is still seething over yesterday's stream. She's so pissed off. Carrie and her horde made a meme of me and Nick Fuentes that compared us to Hitler and Ava. What was Hitler's wife's name? Well, they made a meme comparing me and Nick Fuentes to Hitler and the woman who Hitler married that I can't remember the name of. Yep, she deleted all the it was so rude. Ava Braun, right? That's who. Yeah. I'm not even like Nick's only girl. Nick has a whole harem of women. They're Nick's angels. But whatever. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry about that.
Independent media. I'm not one to typically dive into these drama stories. And typically I avoid them because I believe it's infinitely more important to talk about things like the bridge collapse or World War III. And those are things I actually care about. But that being said, I can't deny it. I have a personal bias in this that two things. First, my personal bias is I've dealt with legal issues in the past, and I really want to understand how this stuff happens because I've had crazy stuff happen to me here at Timcast. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, Steven Crowder or Jared or Hilary Crowder. None of that matters. But I feel passionate about subjects like this, and I feel like I have insights which can help inform many people as to what may be going on, though far be it for me to know the truth, right? You've got warring parties in this one. But I do think it's also fair to mention this is potentially shaping the landscape of independent media, where we go from here. And Louder with Crowder, of course, is one of the biggest shows on the internet and lends a lot to the stories like this to the credibility of individuals who are challenging the establishment. And so for those reasons, and primarily my personal interest in the story, I give you this segment. Now, the other day we saw this fundraiser, GoFundMe, Monroe Family Legal Fund, free Jared Monroe, currently $72,857 raised. And, I got to be honest, it really bums me out to see this. Not that Jared shouldn't be allowed to raise money, but that there are many people donating lots of money saying, I did not know Crowder was this bad. You don't know Crowder is bad. You don't know that Jared is bad. It's a legal dispute where everyone's got their perspective on it. And it may be that there are two individuals who are actually both good people who are at an impasse and both view themselves as morally right. This is typical.
That's
The
true.
issue is not that Jared
I'll
raised
give
money.
that to Tim.
It's that many people are throwing Crowder under the bus without actually knowing what's happening. And a lot of people are, I feel like a lot of people are jumping the gun and making assumptions about who they think is right on this one. But let's read the news from SCNR.com. Exclusive. Louder with Crowder files lawsuit accusing Jared Monroe and Hilary Crowder of extortion scheme. I just don't want Steven Crowder anywhere near those kids, Jared Metelo, also known as Jared Monroe, said in a text message to Hilary Crowder. Was it a text message or an email? Louder with Crowder LLC, LWC, has filed a lawsuit against former employee Jared Metelo, also known as Jared Monroe or Not Gay Jared, accusing him of engaging in an extortion scheme with Steven Crowder's ex-wife, Hilary, and her family. Wait till you see some of the stuff that was published. Like, apparently someone, I don't know if they threw a potato through his window or something. Okay. So Metelo's raised, well, as of the writing of this article, 66, but it's actually up to 72. Despite the seemingly sudden conflict between him and Crowder, Metelo parted ways way back in August of 2018. At the time, he signed an agreement with the company that included a non-disparagement clause. Louder with Crowder's lawsuit, which only names Metelo, claims that this scheme began in 2022 when Steven's ex-wife, Hilary Crowder, plotted to extort him for, quote, more money than Texas law would allow in their pending divorce proceedings. According to court filings obtained by SCNR, Steven has been ordered to pay Hilary $25,000 a month in support for the last 2 years. However, in a recent social media post seeking employment, she claims she can no longer afford to be a stay-at-home mother. Oh, this is interesting. Hilary Crowder posted, looking for work that is remote with flexibility. I am open to anything, particularly work that allow me to be present at home with the twins. Thank you in advance to anyone that's willing to help me in this pursuit by sharing this post. I look forward to bringing my diligence, hard work ethic, creativity, and ability to think outside the box into whatever work environment I end up in. I know I may get ripped apart in the comments, given that I am a mom of 2 small children. Please be respectful and know that the plan was for our children to have a stay-at-home mom. But unfortunately, I've been put in a position where that is no longer possible. Here's my LinkedIn.
Wow.
Emails to reach me. Now, if she's getting $25,000 a month, I mean, she can certainly afford to stay home. I don't know where she's living. A lot of Crowder's lawyers allege that in August 2022, Hilary messaged relatives and a lawyer saying it was time this divorce went public and boasted that she held Steven's reputation in her hands. The legal team claimed Hilary and her family were optimistic that making things public would create social media pressure and optics that would cause Louder with Crowder to force Crowder to settle in the divorce proceedings. Defendants then implemented their full-throated effort to engage in the negative media campaign to damage Louder with Crowder. Those are quotes from the suit, not from SCNR. In an email sent to family members on September 11, 2022, Hilary's father, Tom Corzon, had detailed the type of team he wants to build to help his daughter in the divorce, specifically to destabilize his former son-in-law and father of his grandchildren. They understand right-wing media. They are familiar with who Steven is and who Steven is and that world and the things that would destabilize him. So here's appears to be, I believe this is an email or no, this looks like it's a text, perhaps a text. It says, I believe this is probably obtained through discovery in legal proceedings. My additional comments, the type of team I want, they understand right-wing media. They're familiar with who Steven is in that world and the things that would destabilize him, or will commit to investing the necessary time, thoughtful consideration, and judgment to become sufficiently familiar with that world in order that they become intellectually and emotionally invested in Hilary's circumstances. They are experts on narcissists and or will read and view selected articles to fully understand the narcissism and the impact on the spouse of a narcissist. They have a personal interest in me and my case and compassionate to my situation. They like my creative ideas and family involvement. They think outside the box and are welcome to the ideas of using the media, Brian Friedman, PR, etc. They also provide their own strategies and ideas that are outside the box. Fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of this divorce are reasonable and attainable, not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media, Brian Friedman, and PR strategy that will significantly threaten this public persona and brand. Okay.
Wow.
I'm going to pause right here. I don't know that Steven Crowder's an innocent guy.
Why would
This
they
is
put
his
that in
side
writing?
of legal documents, and certainly Jared Monroe has made accusations against him. However, that being said, what's the date on this? 2022, 9/11. Here's the dad saying, that effectively we want to get more out of this divorce than you would get in family law precedent. And by using a PR strategy to threaten and destabilize Steven Crowder, they could actually win. So I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people are going to say, biased that are otherwise. The first thing I'll say about Jared Monroe's post is, I said this yesterday. I've been involved in legal proceedings. You cannot do what he did. That's just, it's plain, okay?
That's true. Tim is right.
Immediately, I'm like, something doesn't seem right.
Tim is right.
Okay. Here's the challenge. I'll tell you this.
Well,
personal experience.
It's not that you can't do what he did, and maybe Tim will elaborate on this. I'm sure he will. It's not that you can't do what he did. Obviously, he did do it, so he can. It's just that it's really ill-advised, Joe. Like, you're gonna get in. It's good, and as evidenced by the fact that Steven Crowder did decide to sue him, it's like you're just causing yourself problems where no problem need exist.
I've been in several different legal proceedings on the defense and the plaintiff sides of things. And when you're involved in legal issues, and we know this is true with the likes of James O'Keefe talks about this, you can't say anything. You can't.
Yeah, well,
Carl
James
Benjamin
O'Keefe is one
filed a law, was sued by Akilah Hughes because he uploaded a clip from her YouTube channel and he titled it something like "The Absolute Awareness of Liberals" or something like this. She claimed it was infringement. She made video after video after video. She kept talking about it. And everyone asked Carl, what's going on? I was like, I can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. It's court. Carl won. I believe he won his legal fees as well because it was fair use. When it seems to me, I typically find the people who are in the right are the ones who keep their mouths shut. And the reason why is not that Steven Crowder has kept his mouth shut completely. I'm not saying that. A lot of people have this belief that if you are honest and you're doing the right thing, you will win.
I just want it to be noted that Tim did not actually apply that standard to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas when James O'Keefe went on a conservative media smear campaign starting on Timcast IRL to lie about what happened at Project Veritas. And if people are new to me and maybe you don't know, I've done in-depth reporting about what happened at Project Veritas. I spoke to over 24 people at all different levels of Project Veritas. I saw documents. I saw evidence. I know exactly what happened at Project Veritas, and it bears no resemblance to what James O'Keefe said on Timcast IRL. It had nothing to do with Pfizer. It had nothing to do with black cars. It had nothing to do with any of that. You can find that reporting on my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. And in that case, James O'Keefe was the one blabbing because he was on a smear campaign that conservative media helped him with because he wanted to sink Project Veritas because he wrongfully used over $1 million fucking dollars of their money and they were going to lose their nonprofit status over it. And he'd also really pissed off every single person that worked there on multiple different levels. In that case, it was the Project Veritas people who were keeping quiet because they were trusting the legal system. They said, it's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. And then James O'Keefe went on a conservative media smear campaign, speaking to Tim as one of his first stops. And Tim said, James, you are so stunning. You are so brave. You are so amazing, James. I'm going to name a coffee after you, James. How are you so amazing, James? How are you my hero? Tim never bothered to look into it. He never bothered to talk to anyone. And I know that because I was like the only person they were talking to because I had gotten it right on my YouTube channel. Just like I called the fucking Steven Crowder thing right, I called the James O'Keefe Project Veritas thing right from the very beginning, and I was the only one that got it right. And the way that I got in touch with 24 Project Veritas employees is they all reached out to me and they were like, you got everything right. How the fuck did you do that? Organizational psychologist, bro. This is what I do.
In the end, it's not always true. But there are people who are threatened that they're not going to win the legal battle, so they create public personal attacks. The fact that they decided to take a public strategy to harm Steven Crowder, and now what we're seeing with Jared Monroe, it seems to me like this, I don't know if you call it an extortion scheme, call it whatever you want. Perhaps. It seems like they're outright saying in these messages, we probably wouldn't win based on Texas family law, but if we attack his persona, lots of people will jump on board. It's going to damage him. It cost him money, so he'll bow out. That's what it seems like. Jared Monroe put up a legal fundraiser violating the NDA he claims he needs help to get out of. So when I saw that, I said, no, he doesn't. He broke the NDA already. Something doesn't add up. I don't know his circumstances. I'm not saying anything. He did anything wrong. I don't know who's in the right or wrong. I'm saying.
Look, Tim and I agree. I can both think that Tim is a shill for James O'Keefe and agree with him at the same time.
Legally speaking, you can't go, I know I'm under an NDA, but my former employer, wink, wink. Like, you can't do that. That violates the NDA.
True.
And if he's willing to violate the NDA to raise $100,000, knowing a judge is going to drop the book on him, something doesn't make sense to me.
True.
Unless Steven Crowder's right. And Jared Monroe knows that not only will he raise $100,000, he's raised $72,000 already through GoFundMe of all places, but that whatever penalty he does face in court, the end result, if it pulls money out of Crowder, gets him either an emotional satisfaction or a financial one. I don't know. All I can say is this. I've been involved in legal battles, and it is nightmarish when the judge screams in your face, you dare not speak publicly about what's happening. And the people who are attacking you know that they have nothing to lose. They can say literally anything they want. And with smiles on their faces, there will be a bunch of people who want to destroy you. And they try to use that. I've experienced something similar. When I see this happening to Crowder, I'm like, I got personal bias because I've experienced this. But I do think it's fair to say, I will point out my bias having experience with similar things. But I will also stress this again. Jared Monroe posted at his GoFundMe. He says, I need your help to stop the abuse. Tell me to protect my wife and children from financial ruin and fight back. How? By dissolving my unconstitutional NDA and non-disparagement. He already violated it.
Yes, he did.
So any money he gets in a legal battle, he's already on the hook for whatever penalties that may be. This lawsuit being filed by Crowder, I think, what's the relief they're asking? Do we have the relief in here? I don't know what the relief is, but he's he's suing. Jared is being sued. I don't get it. I don't understand. He's saying, help me fight this NDA as I make a 15-minute long video disparaging the person I'm claiming I'm not allowed to disparage.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he's fighting, he's now already violated. The fight's over. The fight is done. The judge can now be like, you violated this. And so I suppose the argument is he takes the collateral damage, tries to challenge that as he's being reprimanded by the judge in this case for violating his NDA or whatever. And then he tries to get it dissolved after the fact. I don't know. There's more to it, by the way. I only read this one passage.
The emotional satisfaction.
This person, he continued, will fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of the divorce are reasonable and attainable, not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media PR strategy, it will threaten his public persona. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. This leak, this message probably obtained through discovery. I don't know. Included in Crowder's lawsuit. And Crowder's not going to falsify court documents. This looks to be legitimate. They're basically saying they're going to get more than they typically would get under law by attacking his company.
Yep.
And here is Jared Monroe jumping on board.
That is exactly what they're saying.
Friedman has a reputation for being very aggressive, particularly in the media, and securing multi-million-dollar payouts for his clients. Hilary has retained Friedman as a public relations consultant. As of November 2023, she had already paid him between $20,000 and $25,000.
A public... Listen, man, the only reason that Hilary Crowder needs a public relations consultant is if her mission is to destroy Steven Crowder. Because if she wasn't going on a smear campaign against him, then none of us would even be talking about Hilary in the first place. The only reason that most people even know who Hilary Crowder is because she and her family leaked that ring footage last year, and then Candace Owens and the Daily Wire blew it up all over the place. Why else does she need a PR consultant? No one even knew who she was until she leaked the fucking footage.
Though he does not appear to have any family law experience. Interesting. Then, of course, with the Yashar Ali story and the leaked video footage, we can see There's a video footage of
yeah,
Crowder
Crowley,
and,
that's
and
right.
Hilary
He was involved
arguing.
in that.
When asked if the intent was to pursue a damaging
Exactly.
PR strategy to quote, create a circumstance of leverage that her attorney could use to show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away, Hilary claimed she could not speak to her father's messages. So in this deposition, the question was, and then number 7, developing damaging, PR asset should be pursued. That deliverable. It is up to us, not the legal team. In the right time, Mark will show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away. Do you see that? I do. Okay, so was it the intent here to pursue the damaging PR strategy that your father previously referred to create a circumstance of leverage that your attorney, Mark, could then use to show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away? Mr. Downing, objection to form. You can answer. I can't speak to my dad's text messages. Question by Mr. Wysocki. Well, you were part of this group, right? We can see up here. I didn't write those words. Interesting. Hilary was asked to confirm if she wanted a team that would destabilize Steven, and she said yes. So here's where it gets interesting. How does Jared get involved? Well, according to the lawsuit, Metelo met with Hilary in Atlanta, Georgia in February of 2023. It is unclear who initiated the meeting. Now, keep in mind, this is a year after, according to this lawsuit, Hilary's father said they wanted to put together this team that knew media and wanted to destroy Steven Crowder. Here's a message. Okay, so it does look like these are texts, not emails. I think this is a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I don't know what they're referring to. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me. Question. I'm not saying you have to like Steven Crowder. By all means, please hate him if that's your intent and that's what you've found. But I got to say, I feel a little male bias forming. This idea that you would, as a former employee, interfere in the custody of a father and his kids. Now, for all we know, there's reason why people would be like, Crowder shouldn't be near his kids, I guess. But pending any legitimate evidence or claims or public presented anything, I think it is disgusting. And, I default instantly to the Steven Crowder is the father, and you should not, as a third party, a year after they've initiated this divorce strategy, interfere. I find that despicable. Here's another one. To further defendant's personal desire to keep Crowder away from his children, defendant helped Hilary craft and further the extortion scheme by providing false and disparaging stories and closely held beliefs about Crowder and Louder with Crowder. Here's another message. Any scenario where Hilary and I team up is the end of him. It's his worst nightmare. Watch real fear enter his eyes when Tim asks this question. I don't know who Tim is. Hilary also allegedly provided the disgruntled former employee with Steven's unpublished home address. So I believe these lawsuit filings, they're all publicly available.
What the fuck is that?
I know that Pearl Davis was bringing up a lot of this stuff. And shout out to Pearl Davis, because she said yesterday that she believes the ex-wife was orchestrating this. And she certainly got...
Tim loses all previous points for giving a shout out to Pearl. Shout out, Pearl. You're such an amazing journalist, Pearl. You are so... This is like when Tim said that the quartering was just amazing, and he had previously blocked the quartering on Twitter, but he had to unblock him because the quartering is an amazing activist, and we all need to work together to beat the left, and blah 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 blah. We need to work, and like, come on. Pearl is just amazing. Pearl is the most amazing journalist in the history. I just don't like. But Pearl is the best, bro.
Steven Crowder's perspective perfectly before this was even public. The lawsuit states shortly after defendant received Crowder's personal address, Crowder received a threatening message. And here's a potato where it says, "Watch it, effing watch it." The same line that Steven used in the leaked home security footage. So according to the lawsuit, they say the more troubling is the threatening message was sent to the only remaining residents that had not been previously doxxed. Not only is the doxing incident a violation of their agreement, but threatened Crowder's personal home where Crowder's children reside part-time. Metelo allegedly violated their NDA multiple times, so Louder with Crowder had to cease and desist. And this is what Jared's saying. He's trying to stop me from talking to my friends.
His wife.
It seems that Jared is trying to communicate with Steven Crowder's ex-wife, who is currently in a legal battle with him.
Obviously.
This is, in my opinion, improper, especially with a non-disparagement and NDA. It seems like Jared is knowingly in violation of an agreement. I mean, perhaps he's saying he was pressured into doing it, but there's a reason why these agreements exist. And if you agree to them, then you need to resolve that with the person, not go to their ex-wife, say they shouldn't see their kids anymore, and whatever else. I don't know. LWC subsequently filed a Rule 202 petition seeking Metellus' deposition and requested he produce documents relating to his alleged repeated violations. A Rule 202 petition is not a lawsuit, but it means to gather information before one is filed. The petition requested communications with Dave Landau, Hilary Crowder, Hilary's best friend Brittany White Turner, several members of Hilary's family, Daily Wire founder Jeremy Boring, employees and representatives of the Daily Wire, all current and former LWC employees, and several others. As SCNR previously reported, on March 26, 2024, Metella released a video claiming that he's being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. He claimed that he was surprised to receive the cease and desist letter that required him to cease communications with his friends. I got to be honest, man. When, how about this? If in February of 2023, you message someone saying you don't want a man to see his children and you have a non-disparagement, it should not be a surprise to you that this man fighting to keep his children will do everything in his power to stop you from trying to take his children from him.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, everybody's arguing, my family, my kids, oh, geez. Free speech matters, and these kinds of NDAs right here stemming from this are unquestionably unconstitutional, Metella said. I will not live with the burden of this unconstitutional NDA over my head for the rest of my life, especially when this information I have can be used to aid other victims escape their own abusive situations, which is the context for which this former employer feels they caught me breaking my agreement. Well, I got to be honest. The documents filed by Crowder, not his opinion on them, but the texts, these are not falsified. I do not believe. Okay, so it looks like Crowder is seeking $1 million. I don't see a scenario in which Crowder submits fabricated evidence to a court. That's absurd. That being said, this would mean that his ex-wife's father is trying to secure more money than the divorce would allow through Texas law, and that a PR strategy would force Crowder to bend the knee.
Yep.
And Jared is assisting in that. Yeah, that's not free speech. That is, I guess, I don't know, I guess extortion? I mean, there's lying about someone, wanting to cause them harm or whatever it may be, or general disparagement when you have a non-disparagement,
Listen, man,
which could remove a man's...
This is why, like, I see this bullshit on the internet all the time. I live some of this bullshit. I have people on the internet who have literally been obsessed with destroying my life for years. They think about me all the time. They post about me all the time. It's like, sometimes they know things about my life that I don't even remember because they've gone through my entire social media history on all platforms and they find the craziest shit and then they twist it out of context to make it seem like something it's not. And it's just like, the reason I say that is it really seems as though Jared had some feelings to work out that he never worked out. Like, he quit his job. What did Gerald say in like 2018 or something like that? Could have moved on with his life. Could have just gone his own way. And listen, I've left jobs that I hated bitterly. I've left jobs where I couldn't stand my boss. I wanted to see her fail. In many cases, I did eventually see those people fail, and it was intensely emotionally gratifying. But like, if not only do you dream about watching the failure of someone, but you actually participate in trying to destroy that person, that's not cool, man. That is a level of obsession that you really just... If you are obsessed with someone and posting about them and scheming against them and hanging out with their ex-wife and working with their family to try to do a smear, like, at some point you've got to have some self-awareness to say, it's gone too far. I need to let this go. It is unhealthy behavior. It's time to go to therapy. Well, even if it was that he was going to quit or he was going to get fired, it's kind of like, I've gotten fired from jobs. got a nice fat check when I got, but like I've got like, so what? You can't carry around like, you might be embarrassed, but it's just like you can't carry around those feelings forever. And like getting like, it doesn't make him any better if he's plotting a massive revenge scandal on his current or on his former employer with his former employer's wife. Thank you, seamstress. Potato. Yep. Why does Jared give me Kanye kissing Beyonce's butt at the VMA vibes? It's creepy. I don't know. I'm definitely not on Jared's side. You just quit your job, Cam. Congratulations. That's pretty great.
Children from his custody, and that's your expressed intent. Yeah, we're not talking about just free speech here. We're talking about a legal effort to take a man's children from him. Now, by all means, perhaps that's not a criminal issue, so it would fall under, we can make the argument, he should be free to say these things and do whatever he wants to do. I think that should all be happening in court. It's kind of wild that this is actually going on. Letter with Crowder's lawsuit states the company cannot reasonably calculate the dollar value of the damages caused by Metello at this time, but said it exceeds $1 million. Legal fees, right? Metello asserted that he was not complying and planned to fight back, asking supporters to donate to help him with legal fees. The lawsuit notes his intent to not comply with court orders. I'll just say this. I don't know or care who you want to support in this effort. Maybe Crowder's abusive. There's a lot of people who don't like him. Something doesn't sit right with me seeing this message from Jared saying he doesn't want Crowder to see his kids. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me. Metello message saying, I don't want Crowder anywhere near those kids.
Why is it any of his business?
Y'all donating to a man to help take the children away from Steven Crowder? I mean, come on. I know that Crowder and his ex-wife are having issues, but this guy's...
Ben Shapiro is so righteous that Ben Shapiro gave Jared $500. And the reason that we know Ben Shapiro gave Jared $500 is because Ben Shapiro tweeted that he gave Jared $500. Good self-righteous man. Thank you, Deadpool Kid. This is crude. Well, we don't mind crude here. But it seems Jared is sore. He didn't get the farewell wake shake from Steven. Why else would... Yeah, I mean, that whole, like... Listen, I know boys will be boys and boys do weird things. And I don't understand the idea of sitting with your genitals exposed to your boss just for fun and kicks. But maybe it's a man thing. But it's weird.
Raising money, saying he wants to be able to speak freely when his intent a year ago, working with Crowder's ex-wife, is to take his children from him. There are certain circumstances where people should not have their kids. I don't know that Crowder falls into that category, but all I can say is there's nothing in the public that suggests Crowder should not have his children. If there is something secret and behind the scenes we don't know about, then I say, let the expose it. Any one of these parents, Hilary or Crowder, if there's wrongdoing. And if you've already violated your NDA, why aren't you just saying it? Or let the courts handle it. Right now, on the surface, what I'm seeing is, here's a guy who's raising $100,000 to engage in a practice where his expressed goal is to take Crowder's children from him. I don't get it. Now, look, in Jared's video, he says, you know, Crowder's lawyers were doing this, trying to take his personal equipment from him, saying he couldn't work in media. Here's what it looks like. If I were to take both of these scenarios, Jared Monroe quits, Jared Metello quits. Then you get Crowder's company being like, your equipment is ours, you can't work in media. Jared gets angry. How dare you try and claim I can't work in media? This is my equipment, not yours. Here are the receipts. Why am I fighting this legal battle? Jared then goes to Hilary Crowder. We don't know who initiated the contact, but of course, it appears, according to this lawsuit, Hilary's dad wants this team of people who know and have issues. So now you have a guy with a grudge against Crowder who makes contact with the ex-wife of the guy he's feuding with. Now, let's just think about this for 2 seconds. Jared's saying, I had a legal battle with Crowder over business issues, and maybe Crowder's in the wrong on that one. But then he goes to Crowder's ex-wife and says, here's my friend. I don't want him to have his kids. Okay, my personal view on this one is that Jared Monroe has a personal grudge against Crowder for business reasons and made it personal because that's the attack vector. I could be totally wrong on all of this. We're looking at a response from Crowder. We're looking at a lot of e-drama. But yo, this is wild. Let me say a few things as I wrap this up. I've been involved in lawsuits, and typically the non-public parties know for a fact they can break the law, they can violate court orders, and nothing will happen. They have nothing to lose. Here's a guy who's like, I can't work, or whatever. So what's my loss? Steven Crowder represents a brand and a business. And as they already stated, a PR attack would force Crowder to bend the knee in a legal dispute. That's disgusting. Now Hilary says, I don't know anything about that.
Righteous, Tim.
But let me just shout this out right now.
Bits
I'm sorry that
yes.
I gotta, looking at all this, I gotta lean in Crowder's favor on this one. But again, I'm saying, I don't know for sure. But how are you gonna say I'm in a position where it may not be possible for me to be a stay-at-home mother, saying this 2 weeks ago, when according to court records, Crowder was ordered to pay $25,000 a month. Okay. Maybe Crowder's not paying it. Fair point. That may be the situation. It may be that 2 weeks ago, Crowder said, pending this lawsuit, I'm not going to be paying. Fine. Then she may have been like, well, now I don't have any money coming in. I need a job. Fair point. Fair point. I don't think it's fair just to immediately assert she had this money. But apparently they paid a lot of money to this PR guy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting story. It's fascinating, really. But I suppose I'll put it this way.
Apparently so.
While it may be e-drama and stuff, with many people, 1,500 people donating to Jared Monroe, up to $72,000, I think it's important to know what they're donating to. A man who wants to take Crowder's children from him. I may be biased. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but seeing that message really pissed me off. Really pissed me off. You got a problem with Crowder. You are friends with his ex-wife, all that stuff, fine. But to inject yourself into a custody battle between two parents and to take the children from a dad, I'm sorry, I got a heavy bias there, a heavy one. And I say, how dare you? You got these people saying like, I was a part of Mug Club. Now I feel guilty. I cut ties with that pig, Steven Crowder. And I'm just thinking like, man, I don't know, dude. But like to send a message saying you don't want Crowder to see his children, that just lit a fire under me. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out.
All right. Well, I think overall Tim's take was pretty good and fair, and I don't actually disagree with a lot. All right. Let's just fucking do it. Is this the correct Pearl video? It's an hour long. I don't know if I want to watch Pearl for an hour. For people who know, is this the Pearl video that people wanted me to watch where Gerald is interviewed? Let's just give it a chance, okay? Maybe Pearl is just like 10% less annoying in this video. Just slightly. If you guys want to watch a different video, then tell me what you want to watch. But if Pearl actually has the information and Pearl has an interview, guys, we come on. We watch hardcore socialists on this channel. We sit here for hours every week watching socialists. You can't survive Pearl for a little while. Everyone needs, consider this training. This is like when I made you watch Hormaxer, okay? After we watch Pearl, you guys are going to be so happy when we go back to socialism tomorrow. It's going to be great. All right, we're going to do it. I need to go to the little socialist room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the video. I'm going to let it play. You guys have to take good notes. Let me know what I miss, but I'll be back in like 2 minutes. And then we will all suffer together. All right.
All right. What up, guys? Welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel. And welcome to another episode of, this isn't even Pearl Daily, but, another day of Pearl being vindicated. Vindicated. Correct. Everybody hates Pearl. I have been the bad guy for a year. So For those of you that don't know, I want to tell this story. Okay. About a year ago, one of my, again, I say this from the point of view that I really like Candace Owens. She was the first one that broke the story. I'm a fan. I would say she heavily influenced my political opinions. Okay. She's great. The stuff she's done with BLM, amazing. Awesome. But she released a piece a year ago. And a year ago, she had a video titled, "Steven Crowder is a Monster." Now, in this video, Candace talked about how she got ring footage from Steven Crowder's wife that showed abuse in the household.
All right, I'm back. I'm
Now-
back. I'm suffering now too.
Crowder had recently announced that he was getting a divorce and that his wife had filed. That was all he said. To me, I don't think that's playing the victim. I don't think that's disparaging a partner. I don't think that's bad. But Candace felt like he was playing the victim. So somehow she got into her hands private ring footage from their family
From
home.
the wife.
Now, in this family home, I've shown this footage a million times on the platform. You're welcome to go to my last live stream and point it out and watch it, but I'm not going to show it again. But in this footage, Crowder is, having an argument with his wife. And at the end of the footage, it said, that Crowder went into the house and by his own admission said, "I will F you up" to his wife. Now, to the average person, this would look like Crowder is an abuser. But most women had not seen what I have seen. Now, I've interviewed 1,000 women. And that's just the women that have been logged into our
Okay,
system.
I'm sorry. I don't want to listen to Pearl pontificate about this. We need to fast forward to like when Pearl is actually because I already talked about this at the beginning. Okay.
I have to. I'm gonna let Louder with Crowder in 1 second. Let me just show the tweet thread and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, let's just get to the interview, Pearl.
So again, guys, everyone said that I was just, oh, Pearl. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, I shared it. Now I'm gonna make this public. Okay, so now the facts are coming out. The facts are coming out. Okay. So Gerald has a whole video, and we're going to bring him on stream, so I'm not going to play it. But he goes through some of the facts that nobody was talking about. Everybody just took her side.
I was talking
And
about
we have
it.
to ask these questions.
I don't have millions of
because women
subscribers
will
like
feel
Pearl,
more and
though.
more vindicated if nobody asks questions. Some of these women are malicious. Some women, I think, just believe their own lies. I don't know. But, this was definitely malicious. Okay. Per Hilary's father, in a Hilary group text thread, here is the message liked by Hilary. This whole thing was an extortion scheme involved assembling a team trying to destabilize Steven. So she was trying to get more money out of the divorce. And she wanted to destabilize him to get more money. Okay, February 17th, 2023, Hilary and Jared met in Atlanta. Jared's the former employee in Atlanta to discuss their strategy and took this picture. February 20th, 2023.
I don't do that, do
now,
I?
mind you, why is a former employee getting involved in a divorce?
That's a fair question.
A divorce. Why are any of you why are you guys getting involved in a, wait for it, divorce? That doesn't make any sense. And mind you guys, these wives know all the people that hate their husbands. I mean, and I talked about this yesterday. If you wanted to do a hit campaign and you know every single person that dislikes the husband, you can paint a completely different picture. February 20th. Any scenario where Hilary and I team up is the end of Steven. It's his worst nightmare. Watch the real fear enter his eyes when Tim asks the question. Jared to Hilary, the former employee. I think there's a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I just don't want him anywhere near
Jesus
those
Christ,
kids.
he's
That
annoying.
really disturbs me. Now, guys, many people are coming at Steven because he has his employees sign an NDA. You have to do this, and I'll tell you why. There was someone that I did not have sign an NDA. This man, with no evidence, said that I was a colonizer that gave out slave contracts. That was what he said. Doesn't matter that I have people that worked for me from the beginning. They ran with this to the point that this made media articles. Media articles. And I didn't have an NDA, and I didn't have money. I didn't have money to defend myself, but I sure as hell would have if I had it. So this whole thing that you guys are saying an NDA isn't free speech, you don't get the right
No one
to
has to
talk
sign
shit
an
about your
NDA.
employers and build a brand off of it. That's not anti-free speech. Okay, so and what is this guy doing? This whole scheme was to maximize profits so she couldn't get through the court. Per Hilary's father to Hilary and other families in the group chat, the longer the divorce proceedings go on, the worse for Steven Crowder. Do you guys remember the ring footage? Do you remember all I said? This is out of context. Hilary deleted all other footage from the house and lake residence, which was barred by the court. It turns out she's getting $25,000 a month
Why are we shouting?
and going on X asking for work. If abuse is getting paid $25,000 a month, I mean, shit, sign me up. Sign me up. I mean, guys, this is crazy. Okay, Hilary hired entertainment superstar lawyer Brian Friedman as part of her PR attack against Steven. Friedman represented
Pearl has almost 2 million subscribers. I just want to put that out there. And this is why we all deserve to lose. Every single one of us. Because we've allowed idiocracy to take form in our world. We have allowed this by not calling out these people for being fucking retarded. And here we are with Tim Pool shouting out Pearl. She's just so great. She's just a great journalist. We deserve everything we get. We allowed the stupid people to rise.
Trevor Bowers, false accuser, and Friedman represented the same journalist who leaked the ring footage. Hilary tried to have Joe Lewis removed by falsely claiming that Joe was dangerous. The dog! This chick not only came for his reputation, but the dog! Why? Not the dog!
Oh my god!
Evil. All right, Hilary sent the private and unlisted residential address to Jared. Shortly after Jared received Steven's personal address, Steven received this threatening message. Now, guys, I knew it. And there's ways that you can pick this stuff out. And I want to say the number one way, because to the average person, I don't blame you guys. You wouldn't know. The only reason I know this is because I've been to the other side. I interview guys on the other side of divorce, so I know how it goes. You have to ask, did they file a police report? Family court is not based off of evidence. It's based on a balance of probabilities, meaning it was more likely that it happened than didn't happen, and it's up to the discretion of a judge. These are really common.
I just want to hear the
Okay?
interview. I just want to get to the interview.
So
can we just get to the
when
fucking
I say
interview?
this stuff, that's the number one question, and you need to get details. What led up to the fight? What specifically happened?
All right, we're gonna go to
Does
Gerald.
this person have a
I
pattern?
thought he was gonna come on sooner.
Like, you know,
We're going to the interview. Oh God. Okay.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay. Now maybe Gerald
I
will
am
talk
doing
more
well.
than Pearl.
Busy day, but doing well.
Yeah, I can
I'm sorry you
tell.
all had to
So,
suffer. I apologize. That was my fault. I should have.
So I'm curious, how long has this been going on?
So we know that there has been this kind of extortion scheme from Hilary, at least for the last year and a half. But it's been going on for basically since the divorce was filed in late 2021. And we didn't really know the full extent of what was going on. We
I take
knew that
responsibility.
the
I've learned
divorce
from
was
this
going to go
lesson.
public. It was then leaked, not by us, but by somebody else. And then we had to address the fact that there was a divorce that actually existed, because we knew that the strategy was going to be to try and leverage in some way the publicity that could be negative, just for the mere fact of having a divorce. And little did we know that behind the scenes, all of this scheming was going on. But for about the last,
I just want to note too that my viewers on YouTube especially started going down when we started watching Pearl, and the minute that I got to the interview, the viewers started going back up again. So come on in, guys. Come on. I know it was my fault that we suffered through that much Pearl. I won't let it happen again. We're listening to Gerald now. Let's just treat Pearl like she wants to be treated, which is some sort of like furniture or something that can be ignored. And let's just listen to Gerald. He's a good dude. He's a dad. He's taking care of everyone.
I don't know, for about the last year or so, we've known that this has been going on while we've been taking all of these punches along the way.
Yeah, and it's not like you guys have been responding at all. You guys have ignored it for the most part.
No, and it's that, I think, Pearl, that's one of the most frustrating things about this, is that we try to just keep our heads down, do the work that we do, and put a show together for people to laugh at, to enjoy, to, hear current events and, what's going on in politics, all the different like cultural aspects of the show that we really enjoy, and kept getting hit pieces coming out, kept getting things being said about us, kept having to deal with interviews that were being given, all these different things that were going on. And we just said, look, let's just do what we do. And hopefully these people will honor their commitments. At some point, they'll say, you know what? In Jared's case, he'd been gone from the business for about 6 years, somewhere around there. Maybe it's time to move on with life. Maybe it's time not to be involved in any of this stuff anymore, and certainly not to violate an agreement that he entered into willingly in the first place. And for Hilary, just to get this done and behind her so that she can move on with her life and focus on her family.
Yeah.
I genuinely want that. Even now, knowing what's gone on, I still want that for her and for them. I don't enjoy any of this, but I got put in a position where I either had to do this and just let everybody know what was going on.
Oh, hey, I missed a Rumble rant over on Rumble. Matt Mazdoc, sorry I missed it. He says, you were right. Congrats. I appreciate that. I've got the Rumble chat in front of me now, Rumble people. I can see you now. I apologize. I had my knitting pattern in front of you. I let you down too. Deadpool Kid, do you think with Pearl's strong jawline, she could swallow some poor soul? Listen, man. God help the man that marries Pearl. That's all I'm going to say. This is going to be one high maintenance bitch. She thinks she's going to be a low maintenance bitch? No. No. Pearl is no tradcon. Pearl is a high maintenance bitch. Going to be a pain in the ass.
Or keep taking the attacks.
Well, and the thing is, women can get divorced and it doesn't have to be a spectacle. Because I saw her ex account, and I just thought it was so weird how this ex account comes out of nowhere. All the conservatives are following it. It was just like weird to me. And she's putting rebuilding from the rubble. What the hell is rebuilding from the rubble? You're getting $25K a month. That sounds like a house.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to tell you what I think it sounded like to me. I immediately, when I saw that, I just kind of thought back to her saying that she doesn't really have social media. And I thought, oh no, here we go. Like, now she has social media. Like you said, all the people that were following her
and Candace
were
Owens is
it was a
helping
little
her.
surprising to me.
Groypers, if there are Groypers watching right now, you guys may have gone off to do something else because I know you have a short attention span, except if it's Nick, and then you have the longest attention span in the history of the world. But like, if there are any Groypers listening to me, I want you guys to really understand that Candace Owens is not backing up Steven Crowder, who is being extorted by his ex-wife. And Candace Owens is completely on the ex-wife's side. And the evidence is extremely clear about who is in the right and who is in the wrong. And so you guys might not like Steven Crowder. He might not be your favorite person in the world. But I'm just saying that when I told you not to trust Candace Owens because she was saying Christ is king at the beginning of this stream, what I meant was don't trust Candace Owens just because she's saying Christ is king. She is not your friend. Candace Owens would throw any of you under the bus. So it's okay to use her. It's okay to celebrate the victory that's been won with the Daily Wire stuff. It's okay to use her to draw people in and to convince people of things. That's all fine, well and good. But just keep in mind that you cannot trust Candace Owens. She is not your friend. She is certainly not your girlfriend. And she ain't going to stand by your side when the going gets rough.
That many people were following her from the kind of the conservative sphere. Maybe they just wanted to keep an eye on what was going on. I have no idea what their interest was there. But seeing that and seeing the kind of posts that were going up made me think okay, here's more of it, because I knew that this PR campaign was going on to assemble assets to put pressure on Steven to, give her more in the divorce that she would ever get in any kind of court. And I thought, okay, this is the vehicle. This is what she's going to do. And part of me was still please just don't do this. Please don't do this.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. This isn't going to help anybody. This isn't going to help the kid. Whatever grievances can be had in a divorce, let's just say that is real, right?
Hey,
Set that aside. You can have those grievances. At some point, you have to go, okay, it's time to end this. Wasting resources, really bringing a bunch of stuff into the public that doesn't need to be in the public, and not really serving the interests of either herself or the children. It's let's just end it. Let's let everybody go on with their life. And unfortunately, it didn't seem like that was going to be an option on the table, especially given all the stuff that we had seen go on with this group of people that really she was recruiting to go and help in this extortion plot. And it floored me when I saw it. I was like, this can't be real. This can't be the kinds of text messages that are being sent around, especially early on before anything had come out. I mean, that's the thing that really struck me. It was before the divorce was even mentioned on air, this plan was hatched. And I don't know what to say. I mean, it's frustrating. It's difficult to see, and hopefully we can put an end to all of this. Hopefully this is the last time that we will have to discuss this.
No,
and that can go away.
Even the ring footage, I knew she was planning it. I've seen it before, because I could tell that's what they were arguing about, was because she kept saying abuse. So she was trying to get a ring footage to, from my point of view anyway, to leak to the public.
It looked when I saw it, it looks a little weird to me.
Yeah.
That conversation, and there's some details that I can't reveal that I know about what happened in that conversation. There's some stuff that's publicly available that people can go out and find. But I just looked at it and I thought, man, this is weird. Why are they choosing to use this? And then it made it very clear to me why, because of the perception of Steven in that moment, without any context of what was going on, of him going outside to have a cigar, to kind of do what he would do to relax, to try to kind of decompress if there was a conversation that had happened earlier that was an argument or a tense conversation. And then to see that, it just made me wonder what was going on. I don't know if it was pre-planned or not. I mean, I think that's for people to kind of speculate and make their own judgment on, but it just looked weird to me that was happening. And then that it was first in the media, that was being released, when really the only thing that Steven had ever said was acknowledging the divorce and saying that he, on this show, wanted privacy. So it didn't seem, none of this, look, we're not victims necessarily, but we have been the target. We have been the target, and we have been going through a bit of a crap. I'll say the nicest word I can think of in this scenario, and dealing with a lot of stuff that we just kind of put our heads down, took the punches, and tried to just continue to do the job until we were forced to do something different. And that's what we did today by putting this information out so that people could see actual court filings, not stuff that is just opinion,
Yeah.
because there's been plenty of that out there and it's been wrong.
Well, and I didn't think anything he said was disrespectful, like when he first announced the divorce at all. And it was all just strange to me, but I'd seen similar patterns of behavior, like when I interview men that have gone through this.
Thank you for the super chat so we can take a break from Pearl, Deadpool Kid. I appreciate you and all your super chats today. Just wait till Candace Owens calls Groypers incels and then says they need to man up and fix. Oh, yeah, that's coming. Oh, I promise you. Listen, I've had my own interactions with the Groypers, and I'll say this about the Groypers. There are a lot of Groypers that are just like good guys. There really are. There are good Groypers that don't act like hooligans, that don't insult everyone, that really just like Nick and his message, and they like the community, and they hang out, and they're cool, and sometimes they come into the chat, and so I'm not saying all Groypers are bad. But there is certainly a very large contingent of Groypers that's going to be not pleased that Candace Owens is being lifted up by Nick. And she's not going to get along with them. I promise you. She might get along with Nick okay, because I just think that Nick would be like, Nick would make sure to be like, I don't want to say conciliatory, but like Nick would handle that. Nick knows how to schmooze. Nick knows how to network. Nick knows how to like, like not say the things that you're not supposed to say, and to like, make friends and stuff like that. So I don't think she's going to have a problem with Nick, but God help us all if Candace ever actually starts interacting directly with Nick's friends or the Groypers. You're going to see an explosion like you have never seen before. And in some respects, I actually think it'll be pretty funny, but probably really detrimental to the larger picture. But the Groypers are not going to respond well. Yeah, the Groypers, I experienced this. The Groypers are very protective of Nick, and they haze everyone. They haze everyone. And they are a pain in the ass, man. And again, not all Groypers. Some of them are fine, just not all of them.
Where they kind of tell part of the truth, but not the whole truth. So what was did you know that Jared was going to release that video?
No, not at all. I mean, look, the timeline with Jared, and if you'll give me a second, I'll just kind of lay this out, because this really was the impetus for all of this. Jared was in the text messages. We knew that he had been brought into this scheme to try and help apply pressure. He inserted himself into this divorce process and the custody at the time battle for, who was going to have custody of the kids. What was the custody going to look like? Which is normal in a divorce. Like, you have to go through that process to figure out how that all is going to work out. And he inserts himself into this process. And it comes to my attention that he is behind the scenes doing all this stuff. And immediately we're like, okay, I've got to get Jared to understand, like, out of nowhere, you can't just come back 5-6 years later and start inserting yourself into this process. And by the way, you have an NDA with us, like you voluntarily entered into an agreement with us. And those things can be used as simple. And I know you understand what an NDA is. It can be used for something as simple as making sure an address doesn't become public. Like Steven's address that was doxed by Hilary that did become public. It's a safety issue for so many people. And then I sent him a cease and desist. All he had to do was write back and say, hey, all right, I get it. I understand it. I've overstepped some bounds. I'll knock it off. Didn't do anything with that. Just completely ignored it. So I said, okay, we got to send something with a little bit more teeth. How about we do a Form 202? This is what my attorney said would be something that you would do in preparation for a lawsuit, but not necessarily being required to file a lawsuit afterwards. But it does mean, like, hey, knock it off and tell us how far this goes. That's the only reason we filed the 202, is because he completely ignored what we were doing earlier by just saying, hey, knock it off, cease and desist. And then he releases that video. Now, what's really interesting is that the window for the deposition for the Form 202 that we filed, that the judge ruled could go forward even after he tried to fight it, the window for that deposition expired March 15th. I don't know about you. Today's the 27th. Yesterday's the 26th. 11 days after the expiration of the order to give a deposition, which he had not been asked to give yet, he goes out and does a video for a lawsuit that doesn't exist. I hadn't sued him yet. But you saw today that I did, because it became very clear that Jared was going to do whatever he could to try to apply pressure and to try to hurt Stephen, to hurt this company, to hurt the mission and the brand. Everything. He was going to do everything that he could and would not stop. And it just seemed completely disingenuous to me. He was lying in his video about us saying he couldn't talk to his friends, us saying that we could ask him about any conversation he ever had. No. Just conversations about the agreement that you voluntarily entered into. Conversations about the company that you said, hey, I'm not going to talk about the company. Here's my signature. Those are the conversations. You can talk to your friends about whatever else you want. If you want to talk about sports, music, politics, whatever, go talk to your friends. This is not a First Amendment issue. This is about honoring your agreements. This is about being an honorable individual and not plotting behind the scenes to try to keep a man from his kids and also put enough public pressure on him so that you could help Hilary get more money than she would ever get in court, even though Stephen had offered way more money than she would ever get in court. It wasn't even about that. But it was never good enough.
It was only about revenge.
And when I saw that video, I said, okay, he's never going to stop. We have to file suit so he understands that we are serious.
And guys, NDAs are not unlawful at all. And I'm telling and I'm
course
telling you, I want people to understand this. If I had NDAs in the beginning of my YouTube career, it would have solved me so many problems. The issue you get with former employees is they can say anything and they get views and money for doing so. I had a whole year of shit that I got because I didn't see the need, or I didn't care about NDAs in the beginning. Especially in this industry, it just gives them license to literally say whatever they want.
Well, I wish they weren't necessary.
Yeah.
I think, and that's where you're coming from too. Like, there's this idealistic view that you should just trust people and they should be treated well enough to where they're never going to go out and say anything. It's like, you don't understand human nature. I've literally had people tell me that they will move on and not say a thing about us if we don't say a thing about them. And that didn't happen. I get it. Like, I understand. I've had people with the best of intentions that they get frustrated about a situation, not even talking about here. And I've had other businesses where they would get frustrated about a situation and all of a sudden start spreading rumors because they're mad. Listen, former employees are former employees for a reason.
Yeah.
That can sometimes be good, meaning they've taken a step in their career. They're going to go on and do something on their own. That's fantastic. We wish them well every single time that happens. But sometimes it's because they couldn't do this particular job. Either the skill set wasn't there, or wasn't a right fit, wasn't the kind of work environment that they necessarily wanted. It's a really hard job to do. We get up very early in the morning and we sprint for most of the day to make this stuff happen. And that's not for everybody. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for them. It's just not for everybody.
Yeah.
But what happens is people get frustrated and then they leave and then they have sour grapes and say, well, I want to go back. I mean, can you imagine holding a grudge for 6 years that you then randomly, but not so randomly, come back on just because a man is getting a divorce? Like, it doesn't, there's nothing honorable about that. If what, Jared may want to claim was true and that Stephen is the monster that nobody sees and they should see him, then he was the monster for the entire 6 years that you were gone. Why now, Jared?
Yeah.
Why did you all of a sudden think that this was a problem that you had to emerge from the shadows to solve?
Yep.
I don't have any respect for that. I don't wish him ill. I don't hate Jared. I just wish.
It really is an impressive amount of hate. And listen, like, I've worked with people who came out of toxic work environments. I've worked with a lot of them. And it's true that, like, you come out with trauma, you come out with anger. Okay, like, that all sucks. You got to work through that and let it go. But I've never, to the best of my knowledge, worked with someone who carried that anger around for 6 years. So much so that he started plotting with the ex-wife of his former boss. That's next level, bro. So one of two things is true, I think, in this situation. Either there really was something that happened behind the scenes that no one knows about that was, like, horrific, or Jared needs to get some therapy to learn how to manage his anger and aggression. I mean, and maybe both could be true at the same time, but I don't have any evidence that there was anything so horrific that it necessitates carrying around that level of anger for 6 years. I've been massively fucked over in the workplace. Like, egregiously fucked over in the workplace. I'm sure many of you watching have been egregiously fucked over in the workplace because it happens all the time. Can you imagine hanging on to that and being angry about it for 6 years and not moving on with your life? Listen, if there's anyone listening right now that feels that type of anger about your workplace, I'm being serious for a second because I know I've been there. I know horrific things happen in the workplace. But if you are a person that has that type of anger towards an employer, I implore you to let it go and move on. Do whatever you need to do. Go on a meditation retreat. Go read some self-help books. Go to therapy. Go to the gym. Punch a punching bag. Because, like, you're going to make yourself physically sick, man. I said at the beginning of this video when we were watching Jared and he was talking about how he went to the doctor and the doctor put him on anti-anxiety medication. I would bet you all the money in my bank account that he did that to himself by carrying around the anger and the trauma of whatever happened for 6 fucking years, because that will make you sick. And it's fine if you don't want to go to therapy. There are a lot of shitty therapists, but like, I'm just saying, like, therapy is one of like many options. Go learn how to meditate, go to the gym, go lift some heavy weights, go running, go punch a punching bag. There are any number of things that you can get, a hobby, find an even better job, like have a lot of sex. There are any number of ways that you can solve this problem without retaining like a massive amount of anger for years on end to the point where you're going to make yourself sick. Did I say Gerald when I meant Jared? I meant Jared, obviously. Gerald is fine. I meant Jared.
That he hadn't done this. I hate his behavior. I wish he would keep his agreements and move on with his life.
Well,
But he hasn't.
And my question when I was listening to it, I just couldn't believe this many people were like, God, I always call them simps. Like, I couldn't believe this many people fell for it, because my initial thought was, okay, if Crowder is this like abusive guy, if he's so crazy abusive, how does he still have employees? That's my first question. You know, if he's so crazy, like this awful workplace. And then my second question was, are they trying to build a brand or make money off of it? And they both were. There was a literal GoFundMe link.
I know,
And I'm like,
for a lawsuit that didn't exist.
I'm like,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. When he
70
released
grand.
that video and that call for support, I had not sued him. And it was clear. I told our attorney when we sent over the document for the 202, I said, make sure it says in bold letters, this is not a lawsuit. Like, I don't want there to be any confusion whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is not a lawsuit. This is knock it off. Tell me how far it goes.
Yeah.
This could be the end of it, right? It could have been the end of it right there. But then when he did what he did, I'm like, okay, well, this is just never going to stop. And I have to, I have to basically go, do I want to look bad for suing somebody and maybe not respond to this and let this person just continue to trash us? Or do I want to defend the people that work here, the 30 plus employees that we have, the blood, sweat, and tears that they poured into this business, and the mission that we have, where we got the Nashville Manifesto released. We helped parents in Chippewa Falls make sure that they were notified in the case of a school shooter potentially, and uncovered another one that happened in the spring just before the one that we talked about that happened in the fall of last year. Like, there are a lot of things that we do that are very important and very difficult things to do. And I just finally got to the point where I was like, well, I gave him every out. I hate doing this. I hate the position that I'm in, and I take no pleasure whatsoever in it. But I have to, otherwise I'm throwing these 30 plus people under the bus and saying, I don't care about you guys. They put me in an untenable position.
No.
And I hope that there's a reasonable resolution that can come from that. I still hope that. But I can't let him continue to do this. I just cannot do it.
No, I have literally been in that exact same position. I've been in the exact, like, very, very similar. And so that's why everyone that's everyone that's saying that NDAs aren't lawful, I'm like, you have never been in a position where you needed an NDA. And
No.
I'm happy
No.
for you. I'm really happy for you. But the issue you get, especially in media, is that people can literally say whatever they want, make money, literally make 70K off of this.
Yeah. Well, you were onto this pretty early, right? You
Yeah.
were kind of like, hold on, something doesn't smell right here. Not a lot of people were. They wanted to just hate Steven. And like you said, somebody can go out
I
tomorrow and just
figured it
make
out.
stuff up out of thin air. And
For
we
the
have no
record,
how do we
I
prove it didn't
figured it
happen?
all
You
out.
know, like you can
That's
just continue to make things up as you go. And so there is some protection provided by an NDA, like, hey, this is part of it. I have to sign NDAs, not just with this company, but with other companies and vendors
yeah.
and things like that. It's like mutual non-disparagements, things that are very, very reasonable to make sure that there is some protection that you can go back and say, well, look, you said that you would do this. And by the way, no one out there ever has to sign an NDA, ever.
Exactly.
I would never force anybody. You just can't work here if you don't. That's the only thing. Like that is required at so many jobs. I think UPS makes you sign an NDA. Somebody can fact check me out there, but like there are so many companies that make you sign an NDA so that you can't disclose proprietary or private information. Like it's just a normal standard thing to do. And it is not a problem with free speech. You can believe in free speech the way that we do, and we champion free speech and say, hey, by the way, you can't reveal the private address of where Steven Crowder lives because it's a security concern for him and his children.
Mhm.
That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And it's not limited to that, but there are other things, but that is like the most easily understandable portion. We're like, yeah, well, that makes sense. You cannot sign an NDA and go get a job somewhere where that's not required. That's totally fine as well. And when you're leaving a company voluntarily, like Jared was, you certainly don't have to sign one then either. But when you do, you need to honor your agreements. And he hasn't been doing that. And it's frustrating because I counted Jared as one of my friends. And when he left, I didn't really have much contact, if any, with him for a long time. But then to see him doing these kinds of things is really frustrating to me because I know that it would have been the last thing that I would have expected from him. And so it's difficult, but at the same time, I would rather he not make any further mistakes. And so hopefully this lawsuit will get people's attention. Hey, knock it off. This can't keep going on. And we'll see where this goes. I don't know. But I wanted to touch on one quick thing that you said, and I mentioned it briefly. You've been onto this for a little while, and you took a lot of arrows for this because people said you were just defending Steven Crowder, or that you were on our payroll. Are you on our payroll, by the way? Because if you are, I didn't know, and I'm supposed to be in charge of that. And it doesn't really look good if the CEO doesn't know. Of course not. You're not on our payroll, right? Like you were onto this, and you took a lot of arrows for this. And hopefully today people see like, hey, you weren't bringing this from nowhere. You've seen this kind of stuff before, and it just reeked of it initially. I'm glad you saw that because that was very, very good to see. But I couldn't comment on it, obviously, at the time. We weren't doing any of that. But man, I tell you what, you can really tell who your friends are when stuff like this happens. Who gives you the benefit of the doubt, who stands by your side, and who doesn't.
Well, I just couldn't believe the simping. It was just driving me nuts. You guys just believe women, a lot of the conservatives just believe women with a story, and we need to verify these facts. And again, guys, if we're going to throw the abuse term around, you need a police report. You need one. That is the only court
Need
that
something.
is based on evidence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they keep this month. Apparently, I work for you guys. I work for the Daily Wire. Like this month, I work for
Wow, you're
everybody.
busy.
I know. I was like, damn, I'm demonetized. I should give them my cash
I know.
app.
Well, I think you're right. Like it's weird it's weird, and I'm not ascribing this to
Wait.
any particular person.
Are you living in like the land of reality, bro? Crowder is very obviously a narcissist because even now he makes it all about him. Bro, if Crowder was making it all about him, we wouldn't be watching a video of Gerald speaking to Pearl. It would be Steven speaking to Pearl. That's what would have happened if Steven Crowder was making it about him. Basic critical thinking skills just completely lacking.
Person, so nobody read between the lines. I am speaking very generally, but going
Yeah.
back to Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation, with what is it, Christine Blasey Ford, and they were like, believe all women. We're like, whoa, no, don't just believe all women. Don't believe all men. Don't believe all anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, have evidence and have facts to back it up. But then when something like this happens, it's like, oh, I stand with so and so, and I'm like, well, why? What evidence do you have that what they're saying is true? Like, you should operate that way all the time. Don't get carried away with an opinion because you dislike somebody. Don't get carried away with an opinion because you feel for somebody. You can still feel for somebody and say, divorce is terrible. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Or with what you're going through, whether they're at fault or not. But don't run down the line of, oh, that guy's a monster because they had an argument that involved no yelling, right? In that backyard video that we saw. Don't run down that line, especially when there's years of evidence to the contrary. There are passionate people out there. I mean, gosh, I would hate. I've been in arguments with my wife
Yeah.
that were more severe, and we barely argue that much. So there have been moments where you're just like, honey, that I wasn't at my best. I'm really sorry, and you make up and you love one another. It's just frustrating, Pearl, because they go and they run with it, and then you have to come back and go, but this is what we preach against. Don't become something that we hate just because it's convenient.
Well,
And we saw a lot of that.
and what I have found in a lot of these cases, women poison the well years in advance. So it's almost like if maybe there was mutual friends, and I'm not saying this happened or didn't. I think the facts will come out eventually, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But what I have found is that women poison the well with mutual friends, colleagues, etc. And so when, a clip or something goes viral, they'll all confirm it because they've heard stories from this woman for years. And
Yeah.
I find that that's like every other divorce case I interview.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of experience with divorce cases. I had one of my best friends went through a divorce, but I didn't really know much about it at the time. This has been a crash course in the tactics of a divorce, and it is eye-opening. It is eye-opening to see the system and how it is structured, and it almost takes somebody who hasn't been divorced to be able to help reform the system, because otherwise you're just kind of somebody who's been divorced and you're frustrated about what happened to you. Well, I haven't been divorced. Don't plan on it ever. My wife and I have talked about this. We will figure out a way rather than go through divorce. But the system does.
I'll tell you what, Victor and I have had the same conversation, to be honest. But it's less about like not wanting to go through a divorce as it is about like neither of us want to date people ever again. So like Victor and I have had the same conversation where we're like, no matter what happens, no matter how much we hate each other, no matter what is said, we need to bring it back. There will be no divorce. The consequences of a divorce are greater than being angry for a little while. It'll be okay. I am never dating again, ever.
Change.
Yeah.
It really, really does. It is geared towards women and against men. And sometimes, look, I understand why those things evolve. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I understand that there can be a power imbalance in a lot of these relationships, but it doesn't mean right and wrong. It doesn't mean somebody is the victim and somebody is the aggressor. So we've got to get away from that. And we've also got to get away from the ease with which people get divorced. It's terrible. Like, as a Christian, I want people to respect marriage, to get married, to have a family, but to do it thoughtfully. And seeing the divorce tear families apart, seeing this divorce specifically and what it's done, my gosh, man, make good choices. And then if stuff gets tough, just try to work it out. And I know that's what was happening here. It was being worked on at the time of the divorce being filed. It was being worked on, and I just wish that process had been able to play out.
Well, there's a guidebook, it's called How to Destroy a Man. Have you read it?
Really?
Yeah, Google
No.
it. It's called How to Destroy a Man. It's exactly what she's doing, actually. There's like a guidebook. You can find it
Wow.
online on how to use the system to destroy men. And it goes as far to use the media to destroy men, because the way that the media reports on information, as we saw, it's as if he was guilty.
Oh, 100%.
And if the victim, it even goes so far to describe that if the victim is a woman or a child, the media is more likely to report on it. It also tells you how to use the police. So, because if there's ever a story that indicates that they might be incompetent, they're more likely to act. And it's really effed up, actually. There's an entire guidebook that instructs
That's
women on how to
crazy.
do this, and it's completely legal. So I really think
Wow.
that this should be one of the number one issues, to be honest, for conservatives this election.
Yeah.
You know, because I personally think men aren't going to vote until there's some, you know, one party at least starts to cater to their issues.
Or at least try to like it's you're in a weird position as a man, excuse me, who's a white male. You're not really a part of any protected class that you can
Yeah.
really depend on. And apparently everything's been easy for you in life. And that's not the case. Like, and I'm not crying poverty either, saying like, oh my gosh, my life has been so hard. Yes, there's been challenges in my life, but I've been very blessed. I get it. But it's not because I'm white or male.
Mhm.
Were there some advantages? Yeah, but I can squander them. I have tons of people that I can point to that are white and male and losers.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I get it. Like you can have all of the advantages, quote unquote, in the world, and still it doesn't help you at all. I just think you end up in a difficult position when none of this seems kind of geared towards you. And they would argue that the entire system is. And I'm like, well, name it. Talk to me about the systems right now that favor men, not just white men, but men in general. You certainly can't point to divorce laws, marriage law, anything. Like, you can't point to any of that stuff. You certainly can't point to getting into college and having quotas for that. You certainly can't point to any of that. You certainly can't run on being a man for any office. You certainly can't be appointed to the Supreme Court simply because you're a woman,
Mhm.
right? We saw them basically list the top qualification for Ketanji Brown Jackson. I always say it backwards, as being a black female. And I was like, well, hold on. I need somebody who's a great judge first and foremost, right? So I think you're right that there is this group of voters out there that is feeling completely left behind by politicians because they just assume everything's okay.
Mhm.
Not everything's okay. And you're starting to see it play out in relationships and men not wanting to date, not wanting to get married. It's not because they don't like women, they do. It's just that this is such a difficult time to be a young man trying to find a partner, a wife for life. And sometimes it's just easier not to. It's easier just to go, you know what? This is crazy. I don't want to be a part of this. And that tears at the fabric of our society. And so something does have to be done. I don't know what all of the answers are for this, but something has to be done. People have to take an honest look at it and go, you know what? What's happening over there right now? That's not okay. We've got to change it. I don't care who the class of person is, male, female, white, black, it doesn't matter, Hispanic, Asian, none of that matters. That's not right.
Mhm.
So let's go and fix that to make sure that men don't feel like they can't do anything right. And women don't feel like they don't do anything wrong. There's got to be this middle ground that we come back to where we're all people that are trying to do our very best and we're
Well,
protected equally.
and if you
All right.
really look into it, some of the laws are straight up sexist. Like the tender years doctrine assumes that
All right, I'm going to be honest. I'm bored with this now. I think it's pretty clear that Steven Crowder is in the right. And it's exactly like I said it was when all this started, which is the wife was fucking around. The wife edited footage out of context to make him look like a monster. We never knew what happened before. We didn't know what happened after. We didn't know what happened with the clips they cut out in that video. And it looks as though that has panned out to be exactly correct. And now I've been streaming for over 3 hours and I am tired and I don't want to watch Pearl anymore. So congratulations everyone for surviving. We are going to get back to socialism tomorrow. So if you're new to me, if you're new to my channel, normally what we do is we do deep dives into the far left. We watch socialist content because it's some of the craziest shit you've ever seen in your life. We're getting back to work tomorrow. We've been screwing around for a couple days, and that's just the way it goes sometimes because there's been a lot of juicy drama. But if you want to come back tomorrow, 5 p.m., I go live at 5, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. on this channel, and we do socialism Saturdays at 6 p.m. Please make sure you mount the like button on the way out the door. Please make sure you are subscribed on whatever channel you are watching on, be that YouTube or X or Rumble. And I'm going to take my leave. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.